The train headed for Sunset City will be departing soon.
Um, you know,
You
I'm
did.
surprised that Dylan even. No, I mean, it was a team effort.
No,
It
I
was
was
a
just
team
saying you
effort.
did such a tasteful job with Dylan's arrangement. How you arranged his pieces to be buried. You know, it looked like a
Well,
sushi board.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I wanted him to represent a food that's better than a Subway sandwich order, you know? So I'm surprised he even lasted this long on this earth eating that atrocity. But, like,
That was going to
regardless.
be
Yeah.
my suggestion, though. Would have been to kind of grind him up into like a tinned tuna like consistency and kind of spread him across the bottom of the casket, and then, like, I don't know, get little circular slices of other parts of him and kind of put that on top.
Of
Kind of like
course.
it's an homage to the thing that he was all about, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that he loved. You know, he took have it your way, and I'm having it my way. You know, like we just we just took the same concept and just applied it in different ways. So
And in
that's
essence, Frank,
that's just what it
we
is.
just fucking chucked him in the trash can.
I mean, Frank just has terrible Sonic takes, obviously. So, like, we just can't have that here. You know, maybe his audience was right all along. You know, no, I'm
I mean,
kidding.
the thing is, wow, you can debate. You could debate whether or not we killed him, or if it was just the old age that happened to get him at the same time as the baseball bat hit the back of his head.
Like, he already died before
He
got to
died
him.
of natural causes 1 millisecond before the hit connected.
How old is Frank, actually? Are we allowed to disclose that? I can disclose my
Okay,
age. I don't care.
I will say he's over 30, but he's younger than Nick.
Okay. Oh, okay. I mean, that's not really saying much since Nick is, like, older than, like,
Yeah,
everybody.
Nick is
so.
just straight up Palpatine at this point, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah. he's just straight up just like, do it. You know, that's Nick. Just do it.
well, Trey, why don't you do the honors?
Welcome to Sunset City, the Sonic podcast where we lost all of our friends.
The what podcast? Did you just say the sock podcast for we lost all of our friends?
The Sonic pod.
You didn't exactly enunciate the Sonic part. You were just like the Sonic podcast.
The Sonic podcast where we lost all of our friends. I am one of the hosts, Trey Noibels, and over here to my, I'm assuming, right of me, if we're like talking about like me facing forward, is my good buddy and friend, Channel Pup. How you doing, Pup?
Hello, Trey. I'm doing well. Yeah, and then we've obviously got some actual cast absences today too.
Yes, we do.
Frank is.
We didn't kill them.
I don't know what's up with Frank. The guy's just a dick.
No, that's not true.
And Dylan made himself sick because, I mean, obviously he fucking would. You know what he eats, so like.
Yeah. It's like it was just bound to happen. We didn't kill them though. So I just want to make that clear for everybody at home listening to this.
That means that all of the audience, specifically the Twitch audience, are the third key member.
Thank you, Twitch. But yeah,
Trey,
what's up?
get a little cozy. Come on, just scoot on over to the middle seat. There we go. That's
yep.
nice. That's nice, isn't it? You can feel my little sock under the table.
Are
My
we-
socks.
This is. I'm sorry. This isn't the sock podcast. I'm sorry for not enunciating. It is the Sonic podcast.
My feet are touching your feet. Oh, good.
Why are they so cold? No.
Why are your feet wet,
All right,
dude?
so what'd you do? What'd you step in?
I got to talk about one message near the start here where Ace Trainer Charlie said, "I feel like the Twitch chat is the fish tank segment of the show, just like, hey, look at the Twitch, aren't they great?" says Pup or someone. And it is so true. Like, every episode we're just like,
yeah.
How you doing in there, Twitch folks? Because we know we barely get people on Twitch. We're little guppies over on Twitch. We're not the shark that we are on YouTube, just little guppies. So whenever whenever we see someone tuning into our show over on Twitch, it means something. You know, it means
It
something.
does.
It really does mean something.
As of right now, I kind of view the Twitch side of things almost like our like Spotify uploads, where it's like people can tune in, but like in terms
No
of the
one's listening to that.
interactive, like I listen to it. Sometimes I go back to older episodes and listen to the Spotify stuff if I'm doing stuff around the house.
I really need to get better with everyone's audio levels, though, because my god, like the last episode where we had Ian on, like, man, you're fighting the volume switch every time you're listening because poor Ian has been just turned up to 200, and it's because in the Discord call, it sounds fine. It sounds okay.
Yeah.
Like, Ian doesn't sound any louder than the rest of us. And then there's also things like in previous episodes, he's been quite quiet. Microphone sensitivities and stuff can be quite, I don't know, a little weird, I guess. But then, like, when I listen to him back on the show, I'm like, the fuck? Why is he like that?
Is there like two separate audio levels for like what's going on in Discord as compared to like what's going on stream? Like, is it like weird like that?
No, I oh.
Did you just unplug your mic by mistake? What happened?
Do I sound better now?
No.
Really?
You sound like me.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. You sound like me. Well, what'd you change your settings to?
I noticed
There we go.
that my audio was almost never reaching where it needed to on the decibels on the actual OBS setting. And I found a little I found a little switch and I tried pressing it and that happened.
Dude, you sounded like how I sounded, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I still sound that overdriven now, but oh man.
But I had it on like maximum before I had it on maximum sensitivity on OBS, but I was like, man, it's still not reaching the decibels that I think it needs to. And then I opened my sound settings. I was like, oh, here we go. Let's turn it up to 100 because it was only on 50. And turning up to 100 was a mistake. So
yeah,
sorry.
no,
Sorry for the surprise.
Yeah, no,
everybody.
you're fine. You're good. You're good. I do plan on like, because I do want to get a designated like interface for my PC. That way, I can have like a condenser microphone and adjust my gain levels like pretty like consistently. That way, like
yeah.
That way it sounds a little bit more crisp. Like I have microphones. I mean, I am a musician and I have all that stuff, but my interface that I have is like it's essentially like an ADAT converter, which if you don't know what that is, it's like a 24 channel in, 24 channel out of like DIN connectors or like D-sub connectors. And that's overkill for when I want to hook it up to a PC. So I just want to get my own like 2-channel interface for my PC. And
Just get yourself like a Focusrite or something.
Yeah, the Focusrites, like they get a bad rep, but like Focusrites are great. Like,
I mean,
as long as you have the right drivers for it. Yeah,
I've got a Focusrite.
They're great.
It was a gift from Gilly.
Oh heck yeah, yeah. Gilly is all about that audio stuff. Me and him, like,
Well, no, because he
whenever
was
we do
always
have
saying.
conversation.
Because I used to just use a gaming headset, even for my YouTube videos and stuff, and he was always saying the audio sucks. So he actually, he went and decided to make the change himself and get me a Focusrite. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, Gilly's a good dude. We talk about audio stuff all the time. Like, one of our first conversations was he bought like a tube microphone, which if you don't know what that is, it's essentially like a condenser microphone, but with like a tube like preamp, and it's like stupid expensive, but they sound awesome. You know, he's a cool dude. But that's cool. Yeah, I might just get a little Focusrite or like a Presonus type interface or something, depending on
how it is.
I know how it is. All right, so what's on the agenda today, Pup?
First of all, the
audience?
poems and conditions that super chats around
Oh,
at the
that's
end of
right.
the show, and that we do have a Patreon page. A link is in just somewhere. It's on the description, I think. Probably in the Sunset City train timetable link thing. The link tree, that's the one.
Link tree,
and
yeah.
for patrons, we do, of course, have the designated call-in channel in the Discord server. So if you want to call in and chat with us, we can host, I think, 3 quick calls. So that's kind of like a means of... You can be famous, but it's going to be more towards the end of the show, towards the Super Chat end of things. And we'll just kind of say when is a good time to start jumping into that queue. People will be picked at random, so yeah, just don't take it personally if you don't get picked. It's not a big deal. You can try again another time. But okay, yeah, the piss. What's on the docket today? Well, let me just finish writing shit, and then we're good. Okay, I'm done writing shit.
Okay.
So, let's start off with the most recent and probably smallest piece of kind of news, I guess.
Right.
And that is the Shadow 101 that released just yesterday.
Oh yeah, I think overall, like the video is great. I think it's like it respects the character of Shadow. I think the editing was pretty cool. I think overall, like the pacing of it and how they explained everything was pretty top notch. And I'm like, I guess for me, I'm just kind of glad they're giving like an actual, like, I guess, like full on starting point for people who like might be interested in Shadow's character and his design, but like may think that like his backstory is a little bit too like I guess convoluted, quote unquote, to jump into. So I thought it was a great like introduction point for people who are probably jumping into the Sonic franchise with Shadow Generations. I think it was great. Besides, obviously, like what we talked about, the elephant in the room. Thought it was overall a good video.
I think Sega are doing a lot to kind of support that third movie on the way as well, between like this,
of course,
and Shadow Generations. Like they're really kind of doing a lot of legwork to kind of reestablish this character before the movie comes out. And it's kind of interesting when you say, you know, that some people do find Shadow's story to be convoluted, because that is a complaint that I have seen, compounded by the fact that a lot of people are like, oh, they probably shouldn't have any other characters in movie 3 aside from Shadow, or at least new characters anyway, because Shadow's story is so convoluted and requires a lot of time. In actuality, it's not. It's like, I mean,
right.
if you take Black Doom out of the equation, which I think the movies will,
yes,
it's not convoluted, and even then, you could just put it down to Gerald used some alien blood. It's Gerald's kind of expeditions and stuff. Like, if you wanted to do a full-on prologue to Shadow's life, you could make a whole movie out of, like, you know, Gerald going on an expedition, Maria, you know, getting NIDS. But the thing is, I think the only reason why Shadow's story feels kind of convoluted is because, truth be told, he's the only character in Sonic to have any kind of backstory explored by those games. Like,
and even in the video itself, they do touch on Black Doom, and they explained it just like pretty well. That like, you know, Eggman from in the video was like, oh yeah, like my grandfather was like a genius, like using, you know, blood from an alien and whatnot to like create this ultimate life form and all that stuff. And kind of like explained like, what is it? Black Doom's like intentions with Shadow, as well as Gerald's intentions with Shadow, and they explained that well. So like they did it pretty seamlessly. They did it very well. Yeah, no complaints about how that was like structured, really.
Yeah. And yeah, I do think, yeah. I mean, Accelerate also mentions like Silver and Infinite do kind of have origin stories. Silver, not really. You just kind of check in with him when he's in the future. It's like, he exists in the future, he has psychokinetic powers, and that's kind of, you go from there, you know? Infinite, again, I guess, like, he was part of a military organization of jackals, and then he got insulted one time. His feelings got hurt, and then he went crazy. But, like, Shadow is, like, the only time they've really had a backstory for a character that's really kind of mattered and been explored and stuff. And that's the thing. Like, Shadow might be the deepest Sonic character, but that is kind of by default, and I don't understand why we can't explore a little bit of backstory when it comes to other Sonic characters, or like...
Well, like, they do. Like,
do they?
Well, I guess like the two that come to mind is like Knuckles with like his Echidna tribe and stuff like that.
Okay,
like that was
Knuckles.
explored.
All right, yeah, Knuckles, absolutely. Yeah. Knuckles and Shadow are probably the two.
I think it's very telling that the two Sonic characters that are considered to be like the the coolest ones are the ones with the most like in-depth backstories. And I guess like if you're comparing the backstories of Knuckles and Shadow to like other franchises, it's like, as you say, small potatoes. But like within the confines of the Sonic franchise, they are the most like in-depth ones. But that's the thing that I've always said, because like I got a lot of pushback from people about like Shadow's inclusion in movie 3, about like his origin and everything being properly like given the right treatment. They were like, oh, it's too much to fit into a movie, it's too much. And I'm just sitting here like, we just got an explanation of Shadow's entire backstory in less than 2 minutes.
And admittedly, it was all like an exposition dump, but like,
yes,
you wouldn't want that for a movie. But the thing is,
of course,
again, Shadow's origin story takes up what, like a 2-minute cutscene in Sonic Adventure 2?
Yeah, like, and like, granted, especially in the Dark story, like a lot of like the motivations and everything are like recontextualized. It's recontextualized as the story goes on, so that 2-minute kind of cutscene does get kind of like dragged out, but it makes sense within the confines of SA2.
Ultimately, you get a bit of Shadow and Maria gazing over the earth, having a quick chit chat. Then you see him running from the military, and then you see Maria ejecting him from the pod, and in a flash.
Yes.
And that's all you get. That's all you need. Like, the mystery of it kind of actually helps that. It's kind of what you don't see. And then you know that there were horrors going on aboard the Ark when you see the Bio-Lizard. Like, a lot of these creatures that Gerald was creating to be this ultimate life form were in a pain of their own, were dealing with ailments of their own, all to cure Maria. So, like, that's the thing, is like the storytelling is all happening in the background in a way similar to like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, in that you don't linger on dialogue cutscenes, you've just got all this history in the background here. Like, so for example, a replica of the Master Emerald Shrine aboard the Space Colony Ark. And, the little, the artificial chaos creatures. So,
yep.
The thing is, like, Sonic Movie 3, another thing worth noting as well is it's about pacing. You can set the pace that this story goes at. You can tell it at a fast pace. You can tell it at a slow pace. Sonic Adventure 2 tells it at a fast pace because it's got a lot of other things going on. Like, Shadow is really just a pawn in Dr. Robotnik's evil scheme.
Yes.
And, he's just one player on that board. I mean, it speaks volumes that I think he gets, like, 3 levels in Sonic Adventure 2 are actually dedicated to Shadow? So, like,
I'm trying to think of how many levels. Yeah, I think it's like 3 or 4.
Even if, like, Shadow's story was this textured and as deep as the fans make it out to be, it is a writer's job to pace that. Like, there is actually no reason why you couldn't mash up the story of Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Adventure if you've got a good writer. You could do it. I'm not saying you should, but you could.
Well, even like even with Sonic 2, yeah.
Sorry,
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. It's so funny. It's just the two of us, and we still find a way to interrupt each other. So I apologize. Discord's just laggy sometimes.
Yeah.
But regardless, even with Sonic 2, they still were able to fit in a good bit of stuff, like the origin of like the Master Emerald, as well as like the Death Egg robot at the end and stuff like that. Like, and all that worked pretty well within the confines of that movie universe. I think Sonic 3 should at least for a good portion of it, try to have a retelling of like SA2's story, and then like make their own kind of twist to it. Of course, it's going to be coded in kind of like the family friendly, like kind of like quippy joke aspect of it. Like I did hear that, like, I don't know how legitimate that leak was. There was like a leak of like Keanu Reeves and Ben Schwartz going back and forth as like their respective characters.
No, that was an impersonation. That was a joke.
It was a joke.
You mean the guy going, "Your name's Shadow"? That'd be like if I was called Really Fast the Hedgehog. That was an impersonation. That was a shit.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I like, the thing is that like I saw that it was leaked, and I didn't really listen to all of it because like I was like, I don't want to be like spoiled on it. So I don't know if that was like, yeah. Regardless.
Dre, look at your ceiling. Gullible is written on it.
Look at my finger. It's the middle one.
Damn. That's actually kind of good. That was kind of
Thank
hard.
you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I guess what I'm saying is that like I am expecting things to be changed within the movie universe. That's to be expected. I'm
Yeah.
expecting it to kind of like try to play off the jokes and like try to like make light of some of like the lore aspects of it, and also like that as a writer you also have to like for a movie trilogy, you also got to think about how this is going to fit within um just the movie trilogy as a trilogy, because like I understand people's like was it concern about introducing a bunch of new stuff all at once if
The
people
thing
just know the movies. But
The thing I would say though is, again, a good writer can introduce these things. They can do, like, if you have the right writer, you can put lots of things in a movie. Like you could this is, again, I don't think they should do it, but you could mash up the stories of Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Adventure 2. You could have it be like Robotnik's like, my grandfather's journal said the Eclipse Cannon requires the power of Dark Gaia to power it. I'm going to test it out on the Earth. Shoots the Earth. Dark Gaia comes out. He's like, now I have all the power I need. Come, Shadow, let's harness the power of Dark Gaia together. And then it goes up. Like, you can do it. You can put so much in a story, and if you've paced it well, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You can do it in 90 minutes. You can do it in 120. You can do it in 4 hours. Pacing is everything. When people are like, there's too much for a 90-minute movie. No, you just need the right pacing, and then you'll be fine.
Right. I get exactly what you're saying. I honestly think that like they could have chaos in this movie if they really want to, but I'm also trying to think of how things have been marketed as of late, where it's like if these characters that we love, whether it's Rouge, Amy, Chaos, whatever, are going to be in Sonic Movie 3, then I feel like we would have heard something about it at this point, whether it's leaked toys or merchandise or something. I mean,
well,
yeah.
There are characters that you can very much hinge the marketing of a movie on. I'm not saying that Amy isn't marketable, because that's bullshit. She absolutely is. The fact that you can sell an action figure of Amy Rose, which they do, they do sell Amy figures, proves the point well enough. Like, Amy is a popular character because she's associated with the Sonic franchise, and it's a mega franchise. So, like, I feel like you could do fucking Vector the Crocodile and shit, give him his own TV series, and there'd still be people watching. But like, what I mean when I say kind of marketability here is Shadow the Hedgehog is the one to sell the movie. If you have Shadow in your movie, don't keep it a secret, because there'll be people that will go to see it just for Shadow.
Of course.
With Amy, you could probably afford to keep her as a surprise. Like, have her as a surprise for the people that see the movie. So they'll all be chuffed to bits and stuff. You've kept it under wraps, You've kept it a secret, because unfortunately, like, there's not going to be as large of a percentage of people going to see a movie for Amy as there's going to be for Shadow. And I think, they know that, but that doesn't mean omit Amy altogether. It just means that she probably wouldn't be the main event of the movie. She'd be a surprise that comes along for the ride. She'd either be, a side character, or, surprise, Amy's in the movie, way, like, she's in the final battle or something. Whereas, like, even with Tails, like, Tails was not the main event of movie 2, but they could have hinged a lot of that off of Sonic and Tails together for the first time on the big screen. Also, partly because of how early on in the franchise that was. Like, just introducing Tails to the mix was going to be kind of a big deal,
Yeah. I can agree. I feel like with the whatever that first trailer is, I know it's already been like shown to people, but like I feel like there is going to be at least like some surprises, because like Knuckles was a surprise to movie 2. I guess not really a surprise, but like
it was
great to see him there. Yeah,
the marketing hinged hugely on Knuckles, and it could have hinged on Tails too, but it didn't to anywhere near the extent that it did with Knuckles.
Right.
And I think that's just because they knew, hey, we got Knuckles in here. He is the big event of the movie. Like, if Knuckles is going to be in Sonic 2, you tell people about it. You don't just pull him in out of nowhere when people are seated. You tell them about it. Amy, on the other hand,
that's what I'm thinking,
isn't going to be quite the main event of this movie that Shadow is going to be. Like, she's not if she's in this movie, she's not going to be the big draw. And I think they would, if they did like, oh, Sonic 4's coming and the post credits is Amy, that would be interesting.
It would be too little, too late in my opinion.
Well,
like
she doesn't have a story as such. Like with Shadow, when you saw Shadow rise from the ground at the end of movie 2, and they said Project Shadow, it's like, you know this movie is going to be based on Sonic Adventure 2. If you see Amy in after credits, all right, Amy's in it. That's what you know. You don't know that this movie is necessarily going to be a Sonic CD movie or Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, because she doesn't have that backstory to tell, which is actually really weird, considering, like, of all the Sonic characters, aside from Knuckles and Shadow, she probably has the most character traits of the bunch. Given that, we've had the most in-depth exploration of her interests, you know? Like,
I think it is weird because, like, Amy was originally created to be, like, obviously almost like a Minnie Mouse to Sonic's Mickey Mouse type deal. They even had, like, the same silhouette for a while with the hair. Like, that, like, I feel like with Shadow, he was, like, one of the only characters that was, like, birthed from a backstory rather than, like, put in there and then given a backstory later, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he is as much his story. It's like, if you skip Shadow's backstory,
you're skipping his character.
It's not really Shadow.
Yeah.
Like Boom Shadow, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
He's fun as like I'm a gruff rival to Sonic, but he's not really Shadow. Shadow is his history, his story, and what that kind of represents for it. The same goes for Knuckles as well. When you take, you know, kind of that introspection away from Knuckles, it's not Knuckles anymore. Like, I love Boom Knuckles. He's a fun character. He's not really Knuckles, though. Like, you look at Knuckles in Sonic X, and then look at Knuckles in Sonic Boom, they're nothing alike. These are like two separate different characters.
Yeah, and to Boom's credit, it was always supposed to be kind of a spin-off thing. So it was never like, well, I don't want to say it was never supposed to be.
They wanted that to be a reboot to replace the main series.
Yeah, I caught myself there. Yeah, I caught myself, but like, which I still think that was a weird idea, like overall. But regardless of that, yeah, no, like, it's very. The thing is that like, I like Amy. The only backstory that we have of Amy at all really is her being kidnapped by like Metal Sonic and CD. That's like where her like start came from.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that like
she went to Never Lake because her cards said, you know, you'll meet your hero here, and that's kind of where she joins into Sonic's story, but we still don't know her backstory, what makes her tick, you know? And it's kind of the thing that, I saw, I can't remember who it was pointed this out, but on Twitter, someone pointed out, it's kind of weird that, like, you know, we accept that Tails is an orphan, Knuckles is the last of the echidnas, and Sonic is all about kind of the here and now, but we never know anything about Amy's parents. Like, who are her parents? And I've kind of always seen, like, there's an opportunity here to kind of explore kind of why she's as emotionally candid as she is. Like, why that's such a defining character trait for her. It could be due to a neglectful upbringing or something like that. You know, she wants to kind of overcome those feelings of kind of, you know, neglect that she had from her parents. Or, you know, you could go further than that. You can build that into the whole, oh, she's been on Earth for 15 years, just like Sonic has, or whatever, you know? Like, but yeah, that's the thing, is Amy doesn't have a story attached to her that would tell us what the story of the next one is. And because Sonic 1 was purely just introducing Sonic and Robotnik, it was enough for you to just throw any other Sonic character in there and be like, they're going to be in the next one. That would be enough. But once you've had Sonic 2, which has explored the Master Emerald and stuff, you're going to need the premise to be, okay, this is what the next story is going to be. We need to have an idea of what's in store. And then... Well, are you really going to follow up? Like, if they're going to do Sonic 4, are you going to follow up the story of Sonic Adventure 2 with Sonic CD? You're going to have Metal Sonic kidnapping Amy? I mean, look, I'd like to see it, but, like, you can't deny that's not going to be the same.
I agree. So, like, well, the thing is, like, my theory is that they would have, like, Metal Sonic in movie 3 as kind of like a like almost like a last ditch effort of like Jim Carrey's Eggman, you know, trying to destroy Sonic, because I'm pretty sure like Shadow's being awakened to appease what, you know, Eggman wants, pretty much, which is to destroy Sonic and have someone who is like his equal, quote unquote. And then whenever that fails, the climax of the movie would like introduce that possibly. It's all about pacing, like you said. I feel like there's ways that they can introduce in these movies without it being too cluttered. I'm not saying that they should have a one-to-one recreation of like CD's story, but I guess it's just like if we're talking about the origin of Amy, Metal Sonic is a part of that to a degree. I feel like it would
how
be
she was
kind of
rescued by Sonic and
yeah, like I feel like that's where the crush came from, was being rescued by Sonic.
well, I mean, if you beat Palm Tree Panic with the good future, she does still follow you around with the hearts and stuff. So she still loves Sonic there. And then I think the Archie adaptation kind of said that Sonic was already kind of a celebrity, and that Amy kind of was like, "Oh, I want to meet the hero of my dreams. He's going to be at Never Lake, according to my tarot cards."
That's fair. Yeah, I guess it was just more accentuated after the fact, where it's like,
I guess. I mean, you could make that a decent read.
You can make that a decent, yeah. Like I guess like
time,
yeah.
I kind of prefer that she likes Sonic for Sonic, as opposed to she likes him because he did something for her. Because otherwise, it can make kind of that dynamic feel a little transactional, and I don't think Amy is transactional. Like she as a character is all hard. But again, it's why I think Sonic 3 is actually the perfect time to introduce her. It's always kind of believed that Sonic and Shadow are kind of the yin and yang, but I think in a lot of ways Shadow and Amy are kind of the yin and yang. In that you've got this bubbly power of love girl, and you've got this scarred guy who's clearly very damaged and everything like that, and she's the one to kind of talk him out of his funk. And that's kind of the role she plays in Sonic Adventure 2, obviously. And that is one of the most important, most pivotal parts of that game.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. It's Amy's defining moment, which is why I'm quite protective of that moment being just given to her. And it feels right to it, but the truth be told, you could give that moment to someone else. However, you now have to ask, why would Sonic do it? If he's been kicking Shadow's ass the entire movie, why is Sonic now the power of love? Why would Knuckles do that? He's not,
Right. I think it's a weird kind of like place to be in, because I feel like Amy's significance in that moment was also kind of like not more so carried, but kind of like accentuated by the fact that like, her and Sonic have been like longtime friends up until that point. Up until SA2, I feel like it would be. I don't know if I'm thinking about this clearly, but like, it would be a little weird from like a movie-going perspective. Now, of course, we all know Amy, but like, I guess like a movie-going perspective where it's like she's introduced into this cast of characters, everyone kind of accepts her for how she is without like much thought into it. And why she came to Earth, that would have to be kind of like explained in a little bit too. But regardless,
I've thrown my theories and ideas around before. Like, kind of said, it could be that she's also been hiding out on Earth for a while, and because she's found Sonic and he's like her, she kind of becomes smitten with him because kind of like, you're the last one or whatever. Or it could even be, like she spent a life in isolation just like Sonic did, so that's why she's so candid. You could have it be that she's a friend of Tails, and she's now come through looking for Tails. There's all kinds of things you can kind of do with that.
Right.
But I think having her thrust into this adventure, I mean, her arc in Sonic Adventure 2 is bolstered up by the fact that she had nothing to do for the game. She's just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah, which would, like, from a movie perspective, it would be kind of like weird to introduce a character.
I think it would work.
Have them not do anything and then just have that one thing. It could work.
If her whole arc is trying to find what she brings to this crew, like, you can approach that head on. And I think that would be great because, as I've mentioned before, there's probably a lot of kids out there that kind of like to fantasize or dream about like what their adventure with Sonic would be like. And the reality of it is, you wouldn't do fuck all, pal, because you got no powers. So to kind of explore that kind of dynamic through Amy would give kind of a relatable character to those kids in the audience. Put it this way: I firmly sit in the camp of they should have Amy in this movie, but
of course,
the more they veer away from Sonic Adventure 2, the more acceptable it becomes. If this is a new story that's borrowing beats from Sonic Adventure 2, then they can make it work a little differently. And you know what?
Yeah.
It will always be a mistake in my eyes, but it's not necessarily going to make it a bad movie or anything like that. I'm not going to come away from this going, that sucked. That wasn't anywhere near as good as it could have been. If it is... I mean, look at Sonic 2. It's the story of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, ultimately. But there's no Angel Island. There's no Death Egg, you know? There's no Sky Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Those are very important components to that story, but they're not present because that story's just kind of had beats of it remixed into Sonic 2. I'd imagine the same will go for this. I think a lot of us are expecting this to be the Sonic Adventure 2 movie, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that way because Sonic Adventure 2 is such a known story at this point. And, you know, the marketing, the logo being the Sonic Adventure 2 logo.
Yep.
Like, you'd be forgiven for expecting this to be the SA2 movie, but ultimately it's going to be Sonic 3, as in the sequel to the Sonic movies, first and foremost. And if they do a new story that just mixes these elements in, I don't mind as much if they're going to nix Amy out of that mix. I still think it's a mistake, but I don't mind it too much. And
yeah,
that kind of brings us over to the toy leak, because
that's right.
There was a little thing saying, you know, there's a new toy pack coming out. You get Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles, and 2 mystery characters, and people were like, "Oh,
ooh,
could that be Amy and Rouge?" Which would be weird because that would mean Tails isn't in the pack. But, no.
The
2 mystery characters are just one of those buzz bombers and one of those egg drones that comes in that pack.
No, okay, great. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to kind of go back to your point about, like, I guess, like, the transformative aspects of, like, what the movie's going for in terms of trying to, like, fit all these, like, aspects of lore into this without, like, still making it coherent. I don't know. I personally think that Eggman's going to reclaim the space colony arc for himself and then call that the Death Egg. I think that's what's going to happen in movie 3.
That would make so much sense as well.
That would make sense. I always thought they looked kind of similar anyway, so, like, I was like, why not just do that?
Effectively modern era Death Egg.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think that's probably what's going to be.
It does kind of suck though if that's the case, because it means that Ivor Robotnik hasn't really done shit when it comes to inventing cool things. He's made some drones, but he hasn't made a scrap brain, he hasn't made a Metropolis, he hasn't made a Death Egg or an Egg Carrier or any of that.
Yeah.
I mean when he made the first Death Egg robot at the end of the Sonic 2 movie, he did it with magic. And then like we're gonna have Sonic 3, it's like, well, this is mine now. Like, it would be kind of cool to see Robotnik actually do one of these things for himself. I mean, it works for the movies, but, like, when you compare him to the game version, it definitely feels like a bit of a nerfing in that regard. Which is funny, because Cary's Robotnik is much more evil and vicious than game Robotnik usually is. Like...
Yeah, like, what is it? Well, it's weird, because, like, Eggman was kind of introduced as almost like this, like, this government, like, type of, like, entity, where he like worked for, like, the government and everything, and, like, that's how he got all this money.
Yeah, he founded Gun, effectively.
Yeah,
he proposes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like he seems to be a pretty, like, powerful figure, but then, like, they completely, like, wiped his identity, at the end of movie 1, right?
I suppose
like,
that's the thing, is, like, he was at the top of his game, now he's kind of clawing his way back up.
Maybe that's part of it. Maybe he's just trying to, like, scrap for, whatever, like, he kind of can, whether it's, like, his family's legacy or whatever. Yeah, no, like, I would like to see a movie version of, like, Eggman Land, like, from Unleashed. I think that would be pretty cool. A cool, awesome, like, climactic set piece at the end. Like, I think the arc's gonna be in it and everything. Again, like, considering how much respect they're giving to Shadow, like they are gonna kill the girl. They're gonna kill that kid. They're capping that kid in movie 3.
It's
Now it
going to
seems
be
more likely than ever.
It'll be very implied, though. You're definitely not gonna.
Oh yeah, they're not gonna show it. They're not gonna show it. It's gonna be like Sonic X, where it's like they would cut to like a scene of like possibly the gun soldier like pointing the gun, and then cut to a different scene, and then it's like implied. Like that's what's gonna happen.
I mean, they don't even show the kid get capped in Sonic Adventure 2. Like that is like the biggest Mandela effect. Is that people are like, oh, Sonic Adventure 2 is a story where they kill a kid? No, it isn't. The most explicit that ever looks is in Shadow the Hedgehog 05. Like.
Yes, because you actually see like the FMV CGI.
Yeah, he pulls out the gun. You see Maria's reaction. Bang! Yep. You know what's happened there. You know.
Yeah, like it's and that game was very E10. You know, so if you played that whenever you were 9, you're a sinner. You're a heathen.
Yeah,
you're the worst. Actually,
never play a game that you're not old enough for, guys. That's
what I'm saying.
Jesus will not like you.
Yeah.
But kind of.
But. Yeah, about the toys though, or what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was just gonna say, kind of getting back to the toys. There is little bits of information that we can kind of pull from this. I don't know if you saw, but on that talking Sonic toy, it says one of the phrases he says is "I found you, Faker," which means he will be dropping the F slur in the movie.
Oh my lord! Yeah, you're right.
That's
are they gonna blow up White Jungle or whatever it's called, Green Forest? Are they going to do that?
No, they're going to blow up the Wachowskis' backyard.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I mean, going by the track record. Okay, back to kind of the toy pack, though. What's interesting is that, in the pack, the main characters you get are Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles. And it does seem to be that's kind of what they're leading with here. Like, on the back of the talking Sonic toy, it's mainly like Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles as far as like the protagonistic non-Robotnik characters go. So I think Knuckles is definitely going to have an elevated role in this, as it is the CinemaCon. In the CinemaCon footage, when Sonic and Shadow were meeting for what seems to be the first time, Knuckles and Tails were both present. And then there's even been rumors that there will be a scene dedicated to Knuckles solo battling Shadow, according to rumors, that is.
Oh,
which I would love to see. And
yeah, that would be
I tell you what,
holy crap.
This would really, if Knuckles is getting an elevated role as a much more proactive character in this, that'll make up for that fucking TV series. I tell you what, like, give him some action.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, and someone mentioned this in the chat before, but considering that, like, Sonic has always admired Earth and its like human inhabitants. You know, he's always admired humans, and Shadow is like, you know, at least at first against them. It is possible that Sonic could be the one to talk Shadow out of it. I know that would be kind of weird, but like,
given Sonic's backstory, I think it's kind of possible. Or they could even have Shadow come around on this on his own, and I think that I would accept much.
That would be cool. That would actually be kind of cool.
That's my main thing, is I don't want this moment to just be handed off to someone else. I would rather they completely reinterpret how this plays out. Like, Shadow comes to his own devices and is just like, you know, no one defeats Shadow. No one wins him over. He chooses this. After an entire movie of believing whatever he's been fed, he finally chooses, you know, his own morals, which would actually coincide quite well with kind of the arc he has in Shadow the Hedgehog. Maybe the final battle of this movie is the gang versus Black Doom. Maybe Black Doom has a bigger role in this. Maybe the Bio-Lizard's just an offshoot thing. Because obviously, like, Black Doom and the Black Arms were introduced in Shadow the Hedgehog way after the fact, but they're still a part of his origins. So if they were to just say, like, oh yeah, Black Doom was a part of Shadow's history and stuff, and Black Doom is the reason why a lot of this happened, have the final battle be them all against Black Doom, that could actually be a really cool way to go. And they did say this would be pulling inspiration from both Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Adventure 2. So it is perfectly possible. The only thing that leads me to believe that they wouldn't do that is in the storyboards, the buyer, if the storyboards for Knuckles, the buyer and his little black market dealership operation was referred to as Black Arms. So I think that kind of nixes the possibility of that. But
I like it. it all depends, I guess, because like that seems to be like I don't know. Like with the Knuckles series, like being in relation to the movies, they are taking a lot of liberties, even going as far as to like recontextualize the Flames of Disaster too. Like, and I know the execution of it wasn't the best in the show, like we've mentioned before, but I think the idea was kind of cool, and I would
Yeah,
have
the
loved to
idea
have
that
just seen that.
Not
Yeah,
Shadow, Knuckles battled
Knuckles.
against Iblis pretty much immediately after his father died.
Yeah, like, I would have loved to have seen that played out in an actual episode and not just in a musical number. Regardless, though, they are taking a good bit of liberties with this kind of stuff, and I guess they're trying to just work in these bits of lore in how they can. If they introduce Black Doom, and then that's like, and then they kind of like not retcon, but I guess like give another meaning to the Black Arms name, or the Black Arms as an army probably aren't even in it. It's just Black Doom as an entity, like that could also be the case. I don't know though, because like Black Doom's design is like, do you think? I mean, obviously, like it would be okay for a kids movie, but like, how do you introduce something like that into this movie without it seemingly coming out of nowhere? If
Well,
that
you'd
makes sense.
probably maybe have like Shadow is trying to uncover the secrets of his past all the while this is going on and stuff. He mentions that
Yeah.
there was the use of an alien and stuff, but you could reveal that the strings have been being pulled by Black Doom for a lot of the bad things that happen in this story.
Okay, so this could possibly be an idea. Maybe like Black Doom could be almost like a Thanos-like character, because they do plan to make the Sonic movie franchise into a bigger, expanded
Marvel
universe.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
You could even suggest that maybe Black Doom was pulling the strings between the Owl and Echidna war,
possibly like just the
which
one
is what
behind
gets
everything.
which is
Yeah.
what would bring Sonic and Knuckles as into like a central part in Shadow's story. Would be like, if Black Doom has been kind of influencing a lot of the worst things going on out there in the galaxy, and he was involved, like it could just be mentioned offhand, like Gerald Robotnik made a deal with Black Doom way back when this happened, and then when Sonic and Shadow make peace and stuff, Black Doom's just like, what the fuck? That wasn't meant to happen. I was playing you two against each other, and then they fight him. And then you could have this big space battle between, Devil Doom and Super Sonic, Super Shadow, and you know what, I'm gonna fucking say it? Give me Super Knuckles as well. Like, because the thing is,
Yeah.
Nick says at the end of his his Knuckles TV series review, it's kind of a shame that, like, the Knuckles series turned out the way it did, because pretty much as soon as Shadow came onto the scene, Knuckles was overshadowed. Knuckles used to be kind of the big backstory character, this important lore-based character, but Shadow kind of took that from him, and Knuckles was neglected for decades after that. So it'd be cool for, like, Sonic Movie 3 to make things right and put Knuckles in a central role in this story, and have him be part of that final battle.
Yep. I agree, and part of that is like the reason, like, and again, people hate me for saying this and people disagree with me, but I feel like introducing Shadow with his backstory and everything into movie 3 was, in my opinion, still not the greatest call. And people push back against me because they were like, well, we don't know if we're going to get any more movies. And like, that's true, but now we know we're getting like a whole cinematic universe. So for me, I wish they would have just like saved Shadow for a little bit later. That way, like, Knuckles could get his due diligence with his own series without resorting to like.
We know they want a cinematic universe. We don't know it's going to happen. It could happen that,
well, I mean,
Sonic 3
the thing is,
releases and people just aren't interested. It could be that the fans are excited, no one else is, and no one gives a fuck. And it just no one watches it.
That's true. That could happen, but it's the fact that they're planning for it is what I'm saying.
I
If they
think
weren't
they're
planning for it, and
tentatively. They're tentatively planning for it. So
like they're kind of like testing the waters to see if people would want to see more and everything.
yeah,
I get that Shadow. The Shadow is very marketable, all that kind of stuff. He's very popular. Like, I understand. I understand why, from a business perspective, why they did it.
And
But
again,
like,
you don't
considering,
want to.
yeah,
at the time that was planned, they obviously wouldn't want to assume that there's going to be more movies, because the thing is, it's kind of easy for them to say, oh yeah, we're going to branch off into a cinematic universe now. But it could be that if they hadn't done Shadow and had done movie 3 and Shadow wasn't a part of it, that it would have just completely fallen on its ass and no one would have, cared for any more Sonic movies. That's the thing, is this Sonic movie bubble will burst. And I don't want to assume that it's going to take a while to burst, because unless you're Marvel, bubbles take a while to burst. It took Marvel about 10 years. And how many years have we been going for the Sonic movie franchise now? It started in 2020. We're now 4 years in. So if you're going to expect it to last as long as... I say the Marvel bubble burst. The bubble of interest, the bubble of unconditional excitement for Marvel definitely burst.
It's all about... it's all about pacing throughout all these movies, because every movie in Marvel for the past 10 years at least connected in some way, but none of them were so ostracizing to where you couldn't just jump in and watch it and enjoy it. Nowadays with Marvel, since it's expected that everything's connected, there's a lot of homework you have to do. But back then, the reason why the Marvel Cinematic Universe succeeded is because they were good movies first, and then you could connect the dots if you really wanted to, but they were still good complete stories on their own. And I think with the Sonic movies, they should definitely go that route of making everything just make good movies first and have everything connect behind the scenes. But yeah,
as you've been kind of saying that, I've been kind of thinking though how they could make use of that scope in Sonic 3. Even at the start of the movie, there's no saying that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles can all be together at the start of the movie. They could kind of come together when Shadow's about, but you could open up with other things. Sonic 2 opens up with the Seattle rescue scene, and that has nothing to do with the Master Emerald or the greater plot. It's just a scene that exists there to reestablish Sonic. So it could be that Sonic gets taken into prison or custody or whatever, and so Tails and Knuckles are going to go in to rescue him, but you could set up that Tails is off doing something else, Knuckles could be off elsewhere in the galaxy doing a rescue mission, and one of the people that he's rescued could be Amy, and she could tag along with him, be like, oh, I want to repay your kindness and stuff like that. And Knuckles is like, oh, there is no need for you to repay my kindness, girl. Go back to your little world, and I'm going to go help Sonic now and stuff. That's the thing, is that there's lots of different characters that you can make use of here in order to introduce other facets of the Sonic universe. Given that they're not in the merchandise, I really don't think that Amy and Rouge are going to be present in this movie, and that is a bit stinky-dinky, but there's definitely ways they can kind of make this work anyways. It's not going to ruin the movie as such, but I do think it would be quite clever if a little bit of time's gone by, Tails is off on his own adventure, Knuckles is off on his own adventure, and when they see that Sonic's in trouble, they come to his aid. And that's how the gang gets back together. But especially, if Knuckles is getting an expanded role in this, I'm going to be pretty pleased. So yeah, give me that. Give me that, Paramount. Black Doom is the main villain. Big final battle. Super Sonic, Super Shadow, and Super Knuckles versus Black Doom. And then you can You can keep Amy Rose to the sideline all you fucking care. You can. God, that stinks.
Yeah, I am gonna be curious now. If they don't introduce Amy in this movie, then how will they try to do it in the future? If that makes sense. How will they I guess because in my opinion, I really do feel like they have to introduce Metal Sonic at some point. That is
It's just odd doing that after Shadow,
That's what I'm saying, and that's why, and I know some people still disagree, but that's why I feel like they should have covered that first, at least at unless it was its own little mini series on Paramount or whatever. I think
there was a side where they were not assuming that this would work, because
fair.
As far as hype beast shit goes, post credit scenes, they want to reveal a new character or whatever every post credit scene. It's not going to get bigger, more hype beast than Shadow.
And I agree.
Who could you put in a post credits that would get everyone cheering now after Shadow?
I'm not gonna lie though. If they introduced Metal and they did just a recreation of the OVA opening, I'd probably scream. I'd cry. That would be awesome. But it's probably not going to happen, and that's okay. But like now they kind of like pigeonhole themselves to where it's like, okay, like SA2 is probably one of the more significant stories of like Sonic lore wise. Where do you go from there? Because no one's really going to be as hype about like Metal Sonic or Blaze, sadly, and like or even Silver, you know, like maybe, but like
Yeah, the fans will be roaring for like Blaze and Silver, but the general public,
the general public,
they'll
they
be
just
like,
don't
"Oh,
know.
cool."
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's that they don't know. I think everyone still knows who Blaze the Cat is and stuff. But I think they'll just be like, "Oh, it's Blaze."
Yeah, exactly. And like that sucks because Blaze deserves some great fanfare as well as Metal Sonic, in my opinion, and as well as Silver. But like, you know, this Shadow, like besides Sonic, is like the golden goose of the
And
franchise.
it's also because you know what story is going to happen with Shadow.
Exactly.
Now, to be fair, you could contextualize things a little bit. Like with Silver, there is one line you could do that would imply what story is going to come next. If you see Sonic dashing off into the sunset, Silver's boot comes down, he goes, "I finally found him. The Iblis trigger." It's like, oh, we know what's coming next then. They're going to do it. They're going to go there, you know? There are ways they can kind of telegraph those sequences. You could have fucking Yaka show up in the post-credits saying that we're going to do Sonic Colors. Or you could have the Deadly Six. Not even the fans would be happy about
honestly,
that one.
just no one would be. Yeah, no. There's some Zavik, you know, truthers out there, and I won't deny it. But like, and I'm pretty sure they would love to see Zavik in the movies. But regardless of that, but the thing with the Iblis trigger thing is that like that would be cool, but also like, you know, Knuckles apparently defeated Iblis and got the Flames of Disaster too. So it's like they kind of pigeonholed themselves into some these like very like movie specific stories now, to where it's like introducing these characters in the way that they really should be introduced are now kind of like squandered because of like the decisions that they made, you know, either in the show or you know, and all that
Gun
stuff. But
has a reserve of like Mobian animal species and stuff that they send into battle when Shadow is like, you know, attacking them, and one of them is a jackal. And Shadow's just like, "Don't show your pathetic face around here again." And he's like, "He's calling me weak?" And then the post-credits is him just going, "I'm not weak!" And just puts on a mask.
yeah. God. I'm looking at the chat. Jason, like that, like he said, it kind of works for the movies though. Gerald makes Shadow, and then when that fails, Eggman takes the inspiration and then makes Metal Sonic based on like that and everything. And honestly, like I think that is, I guess, like if we're talking, I don't want to say like realistically, because realistically anything could happen in this third movie. We know it's going to be a loose adaptation of SA2, but we don't know like what they're going to pick and choose or what kind of stuff they're going to like place into this that they're going to replace from the original lore. I think Metal Sonic could be a pretty awesome final boss fight, in my opinion. That would be kind of sick. And then like Sonic and Shadow go super, and then Metal Sonic can't keep up at that point, and then they defeat him. That would be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cut.
Imagine if the space colony arc isn't in this movie. It's just kind of like the stuff going on.
So,
no, and then the post credits is the space colony arc.
But like that, that
would render the movie a demo disc effectively. Like,
yeah, because like everything that happens in the arc is based on like
that's where the cool shit happens. I mean, that's also bear in mind. I want to talk about pacing again. A lot of people would say that the arc is the third act of Sonic Adventure 2. They go to the arc in the fucking middle of the story.
Yeah, no, they're there for a great while.
Yeah, they're there for the entire
for
second half of the game. So like,
yeah,
like pacing.
Honestly, the climax of it is whenever like Gerald's like leaked footage of him being like, nearly executed, you know, gets brought up, and then they have to like, like we say all this out loud, and it's like, yeah, no wonder people of the movies would find this kind of stupid, because you say all this out loud, and it's like, yeah, like there's executions that happen in the Sonic franchise, like why? But like, that is what happens.
Stupid.
You know?
I don't think anyone should think it's stupid. It's just kind of so cool and out there That like I say in my video when I was talking about like the death of Maria Robotnik, like I'm laughing out of respect. I'm not laughing out of ridicule.
Right.
I'm laughing because it's like wow,
Right.
we're doing this.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, we're doing this. They went there, and cool, you do you. That's the thing. They kind of have to go balls to the wall with this third movie. I feel like playing it safe. Like, of course, like they are going to play it safe in some aspects, but I also feel like you're already this far. You're introducing this character. You know the baggage that this character has. Like, just go all in. Just go
needs
crazy.
To be, I think it really needs to be treated as though it's the last one. Part of why Part of why Sonic Adventure 2 works as well as it does as well is because Sonic Team genuinely thought that was going to be the last one. So they went all in and made a great action thing that would be a satisfactory ending to the entire Sonic franchise. And I think they need to do the same with this, where it's like, it's not the kind of thing that if you make more sequels, it's going to feel unnecessary, but it's going to leave us out on such a grand note. But that's the thing, is like, Amy and Rouge aren't going to be in it. You're going to have what could potentially be the end of an era, and these characters, you haven't even introduced a girl hedgehog yet?
No women? What? This is just a men's series. It's only for men. No women allowed.
It literally is kind of that way. The optics are very bad of this. Especially when you consider that girl animal character is Longclaw, a brand new original character who gets shot in the face. And the only girl character from the games to show up so far is Maria Robotnik, who gets shot in the face. Like, eventually you gotta have a girl character in this that doesn't get shot in the face. That isn't just like an OC human, you know? Like...
yeah. Like, yeah, no. I, like, and there's like, potentially millions of ways that they could kind of tackle this. And honestly, I don't feel like much of any, like... The only time it ever becomes like a bad idea, like, or the only time the movie ever suffers is if they're taking away key aspects of the story that like really should be there. And like, but other than that, like, they can kind of go wherever they feel the best. Yeah, like I know what to expect. Like I know I'm expecting changes. I know I'm expecting corniness. You know, that's just kind of like the nature of these movies. But I do agree that like if you're capping off a trilogy, make that trilogy feel satisfactory. Make the ending feel complete. You know.
What about a potential subplot? You know, like, so the Knuckles TV series has indicated that Knuckles can be visited by a kid and a ghost for guidance and stuff like that. And what if Knuckles feels like he's being challenged like never before? He learns a few things about Chief Patrick and Mac that he doesn't like, and Tikal becomes kind of his soul guide. And Tikal is the one to break Shadow out of his funk.
That would be kind of cool.
I could see Tikal doing that.
But I don't know. Maybe this is just my bias, but like Tikal and Chaos are like, they're both kind of like one and the same in terms of like importance in their own, like in that story in SA1.
Sure,
because Tikal is the reason that like,
I think,
you know, Chaos is like contained.
I
know, and it sucks.
I think the fact that Patrick and Mac kind of rules it. And yeah, it does suck. It means like we're ruling out one of the best stories in the franchise to make way for a series that has one of the worst stories in the entire franchise. Is it cool if we take a quick intermission while I just quickly fill up my water bottle?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just incredibly thirsty.
You're fine. Right, yeah, you're good.
I'll put us on the technical error screen. Hey, shut up. Look, I've got friends. I got roommates, alright? I wanted to say hello, at least.
Oh, okay. Like, everyone in the chat was just like, man, like...
you know, in my mansion, it takes me a little bit to get to the kitchen, you know?
Yeah, no problem. Like, you live in the UK, so you have to filter out the water first before
I had to work the pump a little first, and then, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta churn it. You gotta churn the water.
You churn it.
What's next on the agenda, though? Because I feel like we've been on the movie point for a little while. Did we talk about...
Yeah, next up on the agenda, I do just want to quickly preface this and say, like, kind of getting back to what we were saying real quick, when you were saying it's kind of maybe too early to do Sonic Adventure 2, because there's not really anywhere to go from there. I'm just saying, I kind of look forward to when they reboot this and do it fully animated like they always should have done. And
I agree. Like, and speaking of animated,
we've been given a little taster of what these movies fucking should have been.
yes,
I do enjoy the live action well enough, and to be honest, I'd be sad to see like Ben Schwartz go in that. But like, if they announce, oh, we're making an animated movie, Roger Craig Smith will be Sonic and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, go for it. And I know he's not a celebrity voice cast, but it's like, you're not gonna make a SpongeBob movie without Tom Kenny as SpongeBob, are you? So like,
and with Tom Kenny's case, like he is a celebrity because of that role. Like it's only a matter of time before Roger kind of gets to that kind of like what is it? Same status.
Yeah, but
as
like,
being
yeah,
like an iconic character. But yeah,
we'll get the animation studio behind Sonic Generations Dark Beginnings to make a fully animated Sonic movie, or maybe Powerhouse will make a traditionally animated Sonic movie. Oh god, imagine that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But okay,
that would be gorgeous.
Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings, we had a clip of it debut at the Anime Expo alongside a panel kind of going into like Shadow's history and stuff. Did you see the panel? Like the whole panel?
I didn't see the whole panel. I saw like screen caps of what they were talking about and things of that nature. And at least in my mind, I'm not saying that I know everything, but like it seems like a lot of stuff that I already know as a fan, so I didn't really tune into that. But I did tune in for the Shadow Generations animation, which was fantastic.
There was there was like a Q&A where people were asking like,
yeah,
one of them asked like a question about like, why did Shadow seemingly kind of go back on calling Sonic the ultimate life form at the end of SA2? And Azuka was really facepalming on that, and a lot of people were saying, oh, he's facepalming because it's such a fucking stupid question. But it's like, is it really? I think he's really... Yeah. I think he's really just facepalming because someone pointed out an inconsistency in his work. But, and he's just like, that was a big oopsie. But Izuka's response was actually very funny.
What was his response?
So he was like, oh, Shadow is, dithering out up there in space. He's flickering in and out of his super form, but he sees that Sonic is still sustaining his. So he's like, oh, maybe Sonic's more powerful than me. But then when he survived his fall to Earth, he was like, nah, actually, I survived that, so I am the ultimate life form.
Like the fall to Earth gave Shadow like a big ego boost. Like, yeah, I survived that.
He was like, okay, I guess I am the ultimate life form after all. No, but I mean, to be fair,
that's kind of funny.
That still doesn't make any sense because Robotnik saved Shadow from the fall from space. But
exactly,
fuck it, it was just a fun little gag answer.
It's the same kind of deal with Hypersonic, where it's like this was a thing that existed, and then they decided later on, like, hey, that probably isn't the best, direction
Even though
to go
that's
in.
dumb, because I think there's
it's dumb. I don't think there's anything wrong with either story beat, Hypersonic or Sonic being like the true ultimate life form or whatever. I don't think
be a thing Shadow said, but not be true.
Yeah,
I feel like Sonic is too godified these days, especially like in the IDW comics and stuff. They've really godified Sonic, and it's kind of like character writing 101. Don't make your guy a Gary Stu.
Okay, yeah. No, I get it, but. In regards to like the animation itself, I thought it was just top notch all the way through. I think them exploring the Gizoid, Emerald, type of like attack and everything, which was like alluded to in Sonic Battle, like that was sick. That was cool. Like they went further than I expected with the lore. I was expecting just like an accurate retelling of like SA2 story, but like they went a little further, and that's very promising. That's very cool.
Before I say anything about the Gizoid, I want to preface it real quick because I know people are going to get pissy about it. They got pissy about it in the comments on my video where I mentioned the name of the Gizoid. And, okay, so here's what I'm going to say. There are more nations in this world than just America. And we have different accents. The world's a big place and we have different accents. So when I say Emerl, I'm saying it as it is written. Emerl. An English person is not going to call him Emerald because our accent doesn't dictate that word make that sound. Just wanted to clear that up. Fuck off, Yanks. You don't dictate what my accent is. So
it is funny because like you see how it's spelled, and like we do add a syllable between the R and the L that shouldn't be there because we're kind of pronouncing it like Emerald without the D.
Yeah.
And like that's not really how it's spelled, so like you're probably more correct than the Americans are.
Well,
when it
I'm
comes
not
to that.
saying I'm correct because I think like it is
I say
intended to sound
more.
like
Yeah,
it is intended to sound like Emerald without the D. But in my dialect, it's just like does not compute. Like that's not the same syntax, effectively. So yeah, I'm going to refer to him as Emerl because that comes naturally. That's what I've been calling him for since I knew Sonic Battle existed, and that's how that's going to stay. But hey, don't whinge about it. Is all I'm saying. Yeah. So I was kind of like in the same camp as you. I was thinking this was just going to be a one-shot animation of just a slice of life aboard the space colony arc when Maria was still around and they were just kind of having a little chat and stuff. But I was surprised to see that we're exploring this element of it. We're exploring something that's a separate incident from the big incident that everyone knows about, which is cool. But also the fact that this was documented in Sonic Battle as well. It's a bit of a retcon, as it was implied that ML went on the rampage before Shadow's birth. But still, we are at least referencing that bit of lore from Sonic Battle, and it is cool to kind of see something that is kind of, as far as the games go, is considered kind of obscure, be kind of brought to light in this regard.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I'm trying to think like if it is a retcon or I have to relook at all that kind of stuff. But regardless of whether or not it is, I think them adding that into it like brings a whole new different like level of stakes to it. Besides just the American government getting involved, there's like more outside sources trying to also like destroy either the evidence or like whatever is there. And I think bringing that to life or bringing that to light is extremely cool. And Emerald is one of my favorite characters. In fact, for the longest time, he was my favorite character because of how his progression ended up being in Sonic Battle and where he became later on, like even through Sonic Advance 3.
It's effectively like the Sonic characters raising a child, really, and that's kind of the fun of Sonic Battle.
And plus, like, whenever Emerald does turn into Gimral, in Sonic Advance 3, after the fact, he is taking care of Cream and Vanilla, and like being Cream's protector is probably the most noble thing that you can do in the Sonic universe. So
it's also just one of the most dastardly things that Robotnik has ever done as well. Is just being like at the last minute, it's like, "Oh, Emma, you got your own life now, right? Well, I'm gonna completely fucking ruin it."
Yep. Give you a cool design, but completely ruin it. Yeah, like pretty much.
Well, no, even before that, like just at the end of Sonic Battle,
true.
When he's like, I'm gonna make you a slave to your instincts again. They have to kill you now. Oopsies.
Yeah, oopsie poopsies. No, I'm with you, but like, I thought the animation quality was great. I know a lot of people are saying that like the 3D cell shaded animation looked weird, but in my opinion, it never really looked weird. I guess like there were. I saw some people on Twitter say that like it looked off, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of eyes you're looking with, but like
yeah, but I mean, I remember when I went for like for a visitors' day at my local fucking insane asylum, people were saying it looked a bit weird,
and like I was just sitting here, kind of like, God, I was, but like I was sitting here, kind of like. I don't know either, like, and I don't want to be that guy where it's like, oh, nothing is subject to criticism, or like, or I don't want to be one of that guys that's like, it's not subject to criticism, because it is, despite it being great in my eyes, like everything's subject to criticism.
Of course it is. No, it's definitely subject to criticism. But I can't find it, but it is. Like,
yeah, but for me, I look at it and I'm just like, yeah, the 3D cell shaded animation is different than the 2D stuff, but that doesn't even necessarily make it bad, or like, and it's still like impactful. Like everything looked great. In fact, like my cousin Brian, who does like animation for like Has Been Hotel, he was like fooled for like a good bit of it, and he thought it was 2D animation for a good bit of the time, until like he started like watching it with a more keen eye, and then saw that like it was actually 3D. And like, I don't know, everything looked great. Like I feel like even though we only got a little bit of like action sequences in the animation, like the just straight up impact that Emerald and Shadow have whenever they like whenever they clash together, like that was sick. I love that. Like if they have more stuff like that, like to where it's just like very like has that oomph to it, like I'm not gonna complain. Um,
Like, yeah,
I don't
like,
know. I guess like for me, I guess it's like I don't know. Like I guess it's all about preference. Maybe it's like to taste because like
yeah,
that
of course.
like the Station Square remix that T Lopes did with Jun Sonoe.
Yeah.
I think overall that's a great track, but I think it is lacking compared to the original. But I'm not gonna say it's bad, or I'm not gonna say it's
I
like
don't think it's bad at all. I just prefer when there's less
no.
accordion, because Station Square always struck me as more
Yes,
American than
it
what I
was
would
more American
associate
than
with the accordion. Like, accordion I kind of associate with, like, France, you know?
yeah,
And it kind of feels
exactly.
more kind of like
Or
small-time marketplace kind of thing, whereas Station Square is more of
yeah,
a American city by the seaside.
it's like a metropolis type deal, or yeah, or metropolis, as I would say. But yeah, no, like but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, that remake sucks, or it sounded off, or anything like that.
No,
It's
you
like
just
no, I just
prefer
have
the
a
original,
preference.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
I just
Like,
prefer
yeah.
the original. Same with this. It's like you can definitely have a preference for 2D over 3D, but that doesn't mean that the 3D animation looks bad. In fact, it actually reinforced my idea of a cell shaded Sonic game working really well, and they should do it because if it can look that good in cutscene, like real time cutscenes, holy crap, that would be my dream Sonic game. Like,
It's also
come
like
on,
you've
like
seen
that.
the images from the little speeding ticket animation that I'm making,
Yeah, of
which was cell
course, yeah,
shaded,
yeah,
and it kind of had that 2D stepped shading look to it, as well as stepped animation. So it's like seeing all this brought to life was very validating for me, but also like, yeah, I'm glad to finally see Sonic kind of embracing this. This kind of also proves that the games could look
yeah.
like this. You could make a 3D
Yes,
Sonic game that looks like this, and that's the thing is, the same amount of care that would go into a 2D animation has gone into this here, because like the director
hmm
of the short, or just I can't remember what his name is, but he's a fellow that worked on it, was saying how they put so much work into even things like how Shadow's shoes function, like how, you know, the
yeah,
flames will dissipate from them when they make contact with the ground, and when that kind of activates, and how they kind of ventilate and stuff like that. All of that was stuff they put a lot of thought into when animating this, that doesn't necessarily play a role in the story, but it's stuff that they have conscientiously put an effort into thinking, like, how does this work, you know? And that's something that I think a lot of Sonic stuff lately has been kind of lacking, is that rhyme and reason as to why things are the way they are. They don't really go much into kind
right,
of the
right,
tangibility of this universe. But it's like in the direction of this short, everything is so textured, even down to like the sound design when Maria like hugs Shadow and then she kind of rubs her hands down his snoot.
hmm
Like you can hear the sound of like the skin texture. We were talking about kind of
So
I
we're-
was talking about the directorial decision of the shallow depth of field in that scene and stuff. And just yeah,
yep,
this whole thing seems to be really beautifully directed. And I adore
yep,
this animation style as well. I'm kind of like, you know, I think I'm very grateful that we do get the little Sonic short films that we do, that are as like the supplementary media on YouTube. And it is probably the only way they can kind of do hand-drawn animation to that extent within like a certain
right,
time frame. Because like if you were to do a feature film in the animation style of, say, Knuckles Divergence, it would
right.
if they announced it today, you'd be waiting until like 2020
I was gonna say it takes a lot of
2030.
time.
2030 to
Yeah,
get that. Um,
like 2028 at the earliest, because it takes a lot of time, especially for 2D animation. But
yeah.
I think with this 3D animation cell shaded thing, I'm not saying that it takes less time, but
Well, it would
I
take
feel
less
like you can
time,
focus.
naturally, but
I, well, yeah, because you're not redrawing every frame. You're using like models that can like bend and move like however you want. Um, Also, I wanted to talk about the overall score of this short was
go for it.
phenomenal. Pacing was fantastic. Like everything sounded great, and like even though because my biggest thing whenever I'm listening to something audibly is like, is there anything being drowned out? And nothing was. Like everything that needed to be up front was up front, and the overall impact that the score had whenever like the scenes changed. And even though that seems very rudimentary, it still like tugged at my heartstrings a little bit.
I
Whenever
noticed
Maria hugged Shadow
there's a
and it
leitmotif.
went to that, yeah,
Yeah, there's a
yeah,
leitmotif when
yeah,
she hugs
yeah,
Shadow, and then when he leaves for Gerald's lab. There's a leitmotif that plays there,
yep,
which makes me wonder if we're going to hear that chord progression in like a vocal track or something, because it wouldn't be it's not rare for Sonic to kind of do something like that. You know, Sonic games have often had
That's true.
a very solid command of the leitmotif.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, and like that's the thing is that like whenever it comes to production, everything has to be accounted for stuff to be as impactful as it can be. Nothing can be skimped on. The music can't be skimped on. Neither like the directorial decisions, especially like you said, like the depth of field effect that happens. Like it, like brilliant, you know. And again, that seems very rudimentary, you know, from a filmmaking standpoint. But like these tricks and these tricks of the trade have worked for a reason, you know. And
Then you
like
get like
even in that short amount of time.
a version of it with like a junky Excel score, and when ML shows up like dun dun dun, and it's just like
Yeah. The thing is that like, man, Junkie XL does make great stuff. That's the
he
thing. I
does.
don't want music to be like I recently saw his studio tour, his most recent one, where like he was talking about how he like built a bunch of like compressors on his own and stuff like that, and built his own like rack unit and all that kind of stuff. He had like a modular synthesizer, and like the funniest thing, and this is probably not going to mean anything to anyone who doesn't do music, but like he has like no sound dampening in his music room because he wants to kind of like mix to a live room that doesn't have sound dampening, if that makes sense, because people are going to listen to this music without like acoustic treatment in their room most of the time. So he wants to put himself in that same environment to make that music sound as best as it can in that environment. And I thought that was very interesting. And it's like this dude clearly does care about music and the art of it, and he is a professional that's done it for a while. I just don't understand why. Yeah,
his roots are as a DJ. Like he started out as kind of a DJ.
Yes.
And
yeah.
it's like, well, that would be perfect for Sonic. But also, like, if you've ever heard his OST for like Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's
Right.
kind of everything you'd want out of a Sonic soundtrack. Lots of use of electric guitar, electronic instruments, very percussive. It's what you'd want from that. So, but like, yeah, it's the Tom Holkenberg thing is weird. I will say this: the whole thing of him being a proponent for AI has been blown way out of proportion.
I think so. And like, and again, I'm not the biggest fan of it, and I don't think he's really like even like I haven't looked into it, but I don't think he's really even advocating for AI to just replace the music process, because he seems to still love the music process. You know, he loves making it.
He said he's cool with AI tools being brought in to make the workflow easier for musicians and stuff like that.
Yeah,
basically. And that's the thing is like there's nuance is dead. Nuance is completely fucking dead. Whereas like if the word AI is mentioned, like people will flip out. It's like, you know, you could say, oh, this Sonic game has enemy AI in it, and people are like, AI, or like, you know, here's how they programmed Tails' AI in Sonic 2 on the Sega Genesis. Like,
it's like
AI in Sonic,
and like. And even though that might be like an overgeneralization of how people feel about it, I feel like people need to make the distinction between like AI tools and generative AI. Generative AI is like kind of like the no-go zone, in my opinion, because it's like they're just taking a bunch of assets that are stolen from like whatever artist or whatever musician and discombobulating it into like a quote unquote product. Like that's generative AI. But like but AI tools have been used in Across the Spider-Verse, have been used in countless games, have been used in music production. There is like in FL Studio, there is AI mastering, where they basically take the song that you have and then master it according to everything else that's compared to within its respective genre. And I think that's fine as long as it doesn't tamper with the actual like creative process, or like completely replaces me or replaces whoever, you know, then like I'm more than okay with it. It's the generative AI stuff that I'm not really keen on, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think he used like AI to do like Quarrel voices in the Furiosa soundtrack, which I think is a bit muddier there because that is generative AI effectively.
That does get a little mucky, and and personally I don't even like I don't even agree with it personally. Like it's his business, whatever. But like like that still is a line that I draw, because you can still find great singers, great choir singers, great orchestra, like either samples or sound patches that were recorded, or like people who are made for that purpose to still bring them in. And Junkie XL has the resources to bring in a full choir if he really wants to, so like,
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of it is kind of like streamlining convenience, which is like, all that kind of stuff.
I really
But yeah.
I really want, though, this to kind of be the Sonic stuff that gets on the world stage. Like stuff like Dark Beginnings, stuff like Trio of Trouble and Knuckles Divergence. This is the stuff that should be on televisions and on movie screens. And I kind of wish maybe like if Paramount could kind of commission these to get them to play before Sonic movies or something like that. Because these are genuinely exceptional. Like, where Sonic games can be a little hit and miss, and where the movies are kind of satisfactory family entertainment, these are genuinely exceptional works. Like, this is where
just across the board, like there's never
when it comes to Sonic, like this is where the most quality is. And it's like, this is the thing, is like, as Nick was saying, Knuckles is what was being put on the world stage here. Like, Knuckles is probably going to get the biggest audience of any Sonic project since Sonic 2 and then before Sonic 3, because it's a TV thing. Right. It's being kind of pushed as kind of a thing to sell the Paramount Plus streaming service. It's on the world stage, and this is what the world are seeing. When it's like, when we say we love Sonic, that's what's being presented to the world. It's like, this, looking at Dark Beginnings, this is the stuff that should be on the world stage. And I would love a full TV series event of this, be it on Netflix, or like, I just give me a movie of this. It's probably much more viable than hand-drawn as well, even though I love hand-drawn. This would be viable enough for them to churn it out as like a mega franchise thing. Like, this is the way to go, man. This is amazing.
I agree. I completely agree. Like, I feel like I always love, like 2D animation is still king in terms of just like overall, like not only just like expressiveness but also flexibility. Like each frame is like depicted as like an art piece. Like I think that, but you can still have the same type of effect with like the shadow animation that we saw and everything. Like it still looks just as good. And both have their pros and cons and merits to it. And considering that like 3D animation, if you have the resources and the manpower, it does take less time than 2D animation. If you can make it as impactful as how the Shadow series or how the Shadow animations have been, then like just go all in with that. The only time that people have like complained about the quality of like Sonic, because like this, like it's so weird how like Sonic animations, like across the board throughout nearly every generation of Sonic, have been praised to some degree. Like that's always been like a pretty big pillar. The only time that animation wasn't really up to snuff was with like the 2 Dreamcast originals, really. And like even then, like I think the opening of Sonic Adventure, the CGI opening, is still beautifully animated and beautifully like framed.
Oh, it's a very well directed piece and very well edited.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's very late 90s and very like like definitely has a little bit of that extreme quality to it, but it's still like beautifully made. Animation's always been like top dog. It's animation and music for Sonic that's been like the 2 main like things that we can kind of like rely on to be good, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, animation...
the only time it wasn't really good is whenever they like,
I mean,
like whenever they rushed it.
No, I would say.
Oh, go on.
Animation varies.
You don't think so?
Well, look at like Sonic Forces and Sonic Frontiers. Those are not winning any awards for animation. Like,
Sonic Forces also.
At best, they are fit for purpose. Like, especially like in the case of Sonic Frontiers as well, where when it decides it wants to be animated, it's good. But when it's not, like, it's really fucking bad.
I agree. I think with the case with Sonic Forces, that also had a pretty hit and miss soundtrack too. So I think that was just a case of just the overall package being kind of subpar.
I mean, Sonic Forces was just a rushed out thing. But like, everyone there moved like they were robots. Sonic 06 goes way too hard on the mocap. And yeah, the animation's pretty bad there.
That's true.
I think in Sonic Heroes, the animation was still pretty behind the time. Unleashed.
It's weird because like I'm like look, I'll get this point out and then I'll let you finish. I'm so sorry, but
Sure.
like I think it's weird because like as a kid I remember these things coming out, and like even though like nowadays like people are like, oh yeah, like this was dated, all this stuff, I really never noticed, you know. And like even then I'm just like, okay, this seems like in line with like what was coming out at the time. Of course with like the case of like SA1, like obviously something like the first Crash Bandicoot was animated better than like the first, you know, Sonic Adventure, and like, you know, things of that nature. But yeah, like I think I don't know. I agree that like in-game stuff, like things aren't animated that well. But whenever like something is like tailor-made to be an animation first and not, you know, strictly part of the game, they kill it every single time. The only time
like
it hasn't been
Marza.
good was like the open. Yeah, I think the only time it hasn't been good is I think like the opening to Superstars that was made by a different studio. I think it was made by a Japanese studio.
That was by TMS, who did Sonic X. And even to be honest, I didn't even think that was bad. It just wasn't to the standard of like Powerhouse.
It's weird because like I've been learning a lot more about animation. My cousin Brian is a great animator, and he actually has a whole video dedicated to like talking about like why this animation doesn't look that great, but still gives it merit where it's due, you know. And a lot of it was based on like the impactfulness of the frames, where like the camera's moving around way too much, so you're like lost.
The camera was fucking horrible in that. Like,
I
could literally. I think I mentioned in my video breaking down the Dark Beginnings clip, I mentioned whenever that camera fucking flips over in the Sonic Superstars opening, I can hear the animator going, "Ah! Stop it!" Like...
Well, it's also weird because like how to create impact, and we actually saw it in the shadow animation, is actually to have like less frames. You know, like whenever Shadow and Emerald like clash together, you're not seeing full 24 frames of them like doing that. You're seeing possibly 3, and it's like it's immediate. It's like right there,
yeah,
and like
snappy,
it just
like that. That's
it's
why
very snappy.
I believe it's like an old trick is like, if you want to make it look like a punch is connecting in a movie, cut the frame where the hand meets the face. Just cut that frame out entirely,
Yeah.
and it will
There's
look
like
like
the
it's stepped through. You know, like
there's the exactly. Like honestly, the wind up should have a little bit more frames than the follow through. Like, and that's part of the 12 principles of animation. Like someone mentioned it in the comments, and like, yeah, that's basically all it is. It's staging. It's pose to pose. It's anticipation is what it's called. Like what we're talking about.
Yeah, and that's another thing that also brings me to like the animation in the games though is, have you ever heard of a YouTube content creator called Nimsoni or Nimsoni? I don't know how it's pronounced, but
I don't know.
When the Sonic Frontiers footage first released, that 7 minutes of gameplay footage, he did a video breaking down where the lack of polish is just completely on display across the board. And it wasn't just things like the pop-in, it was like the animations of Sonic. And the thing is, yes, the game's come out, yes, a lot of us love the game, but the majority of everything that was wrong with that preview was still there in the final product, including like how kind of lackluster some of the animations are. The pop-in, while a little better, is still there. It's just, you know, we had the context to enjoy it. But like something he mentioned is that like, yeah, when Sonic flies up through those like little trick rings and he's flying upwards, there's nothing in his animation to kind of anticipate the fall. You know, he's not dealing with that fall. He's just flailing his arms a little bit. And then there's just there's so much more else than that. But like, he was just like, yeah, Sonic doesn't seem to... There's no reason behind his movements within the animation. There's no anticipation. When he goes from climbing up a wall to running up it, there's no transitionary step from climbing to running that says why he's doing that now. It is just gameplay feature with an animation on top of it. And that's a big problem with Sonic now. Even down to the fact that you're lucky if you can get them to blink in any kind of idle animation now. Like, I noticed this with, like, Sonic Superstars. I will say... is they'll blink once depending on the animation thing, but blinking is not a constant.
I will say, Shadow Generations seems to look better overall in the animation department.
Oh yes, definitely.
Down to like the transitions between set pieces and gameplay, as well as like how Shadow moves and reacts to the environment. I think they stepped up their game exponentially well, like with Shadow Generations as compared to Frontiers.
The jumping quality in terms of presentation from Frontiers to Shadow Generations is astronomical. Shadow Generations could genuinely pass for a game from 2019. Like, that's how far they've come.
Yeah. Yes, that's how far they come.
It's a big step, all right?
I do have a question.
Go on.
The big step, we're still 5 years behind, but like it goes to show that like I feel like Sega and Sonic Team are finally realizing that like people are paying attention to these tiny details, like the overall like I don't know, what's the saying? How's it go? Like the devil's in the details or something like that, but it's not really that, because that seems to be implying something different. But like you get what I mean. Like the details matter. Like if you were able to like
they absolutely
look into something and really pick out like, you know, different like even like, because it's so funny. I watched Brian's video, Bran Flakes. If y'all don't know him, he's a great animator. Works on Has Been Hotel, as well as like Hell of a Boss and stuff like that. He made a video about Superstars animation, like the and like he was pointing out like in one of them where like you can tell like a character's like attributes or their personality based on just like few like key frames of animation, where it's like their personality shines through and everything before they even do the action. And I was like, that's actually interesting. That's very cool. And it's stuff that I kind of think of subconsciously, but I've never really like put it together as to like why things work the way that they do.
I mean, that's
but
something like
my question.
Sorry, go on. Yep.
Oh, my question, and this is for later, but like in terms of super chats, I know we've had to restart a couple times. Is there a way that we can like look back on like the past couple of streams and okay, cool. I didn't want anyone to be left out.
No, that's got my spider sense tingling. No, I don't know if we can do that.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't know.
Look back on.
I'll have a look.
Okay. Well, you appreciate the super chats regardless, and we love you.
Oh God.
Like,
yeah.
We should be able to recover them, right?
I should think so. Let me take a look in the revenue tab. Supers, can I find them? Oh boy. I will figure this out. Yeah, right now this is not looking good.
Yeah, because if we could look at the live feed from it, like once it's done, then like that wouldn't be an issue. But I think it like that only like pops up like a day after it's uploaded.
I think it
right?
might. I
or
don't
something
know,
like that.
Though. I really don't know. See that ain't right, man. That is not right. What they've done to us there. It's to the extent where it might be that maybe we have to just read super chats like next week or something. But oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Or we can have like a stream tomorrow or something.
I know. I have to work out how to find this while simultaneously trying to speak on the podcast. This fucking sucks. They've really fucked us here. Like they fucked us so hard here. I used to think I was unfuckable. They have fucked me royally. Like
everything. God.
My anus is bleeding, right?
Yeah, we'll probably have to come back either like tomorrow or something. Don't do that. That's a bad idea.
It's bleeding. Ah, ouch. You know.
Oh man, we're so we severely apologize to anyone who has.
Trey, find a tangent you want to talk about and just talk about it. Like, what's another thing you love about the short?
Okay, yeah, the short. I feel like it's Kirk Thornton on it. Like, did a phenomenal job, and that's why like with these voice actors and actresses, like context is everything. Voice direction is everything. Like it really like it accentuated his performance because the story actually took itself seriously enough for him to be like, okay, like I can finally like do this voice and do it in a serious manner and all that kind of stuff. And I know like Shadow's characterization has been like a point of contention for a long time, but Ian Flynn wrote the short and everything, and I think he did a fantastic job. But like the higher ups at Sega probably do have a hand in how he does write these characters. Probably not as much as like what people are led to believe, but like they do have a say, right? Um, yeah, like if you donated $1 million in super chat, I am so sorry. We will make sure that you are a okay. But yeah, Kirk Thornton did a fantastic job. Um, yeah, really no complaints across the board. Maria's voice actress, I forgot. I think it's the same voice actress that plays Xena, which is one of the Deadly Six, I want to say, and she did great. Like she did fantastic. Like honestly, she just sounded how I always kind of pictured her sounding, which is like this very timid, very sweet, little white girl that gets capped. That's just how it is. But I felt like the urgency in the performances was fantastic, and like nothing felt like overly like melodramatic for the sake of being melodramatic. Like everything fit really, really well. Uh, yeah, like no, again, music's great, and I'm excited. I still hate that it's still PlayStation exclusive, but I think the exclusivity of it now is not so much in the animations, but it's more so the behind the scenes stuff in the PlayStation version now.
Yeah, there's
so I don't think the
behind the scenes, I believe,
animations,
and
yeah,
an extension. Whether or not that actually means the animation is extended, or whether or not the extension is just the behind the scenes thing. Knowing Sega, they'll be like extended animation, when what they actually mean is they put behind the scenes at the end of the animation. Because they are kind of like that nowadays. Like,
yeah, or they put like, yeah.
I don't know if it's maybe my internet or something, because the thing is, I'm able to talk to you just fine, but it's taking ages for these messages to send via Discord as well. But I have managed to find the super chats. I've done it.
Oh, hallelujah!
The hero.
Where'd you find them?
I found them in the
You are
supers tab of the of YouTube. So I just had to kind of think about that for a minute.
Okay.
But yeah. All right. So
okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, while the thing is as flaky as it is, let's not do a call-in show today. Sorry.
Yeah. Considering how,
but it's just this thing has been broken, so I kind of just would like to maybe just drive the tractor home now while it's still not on fire.
But you want to start on super chats since we just found them?
Let's start on super chats. So, I'll put a.
Let's do it.
I guess I go first because it's table order. So, Twilord sends €5. Thank you again, Twilord. You're very generous. Amy was envisioned as the anti-Minnie Mouse to let us know that Sonic doesn't like girls. We're skipping to his first boy crush rather than being coy. But Knuckles is his first boy crush.
I mean, they still have a point though. They skipped to Knuckles first before introducing Amy, so I mean, they're still right.
Isn't any
point still stands?
True. All right, Trey.
Yeah.
Worker.
All right, Blinky with $5 American dollar dues. Thank you so much for the support.
No. That's cultural appropriation. Dollary dues is Australian. That's just $1.
Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. Like five American Eagles. Thank you so much. I'm willing to bet that Rachel's daughter, who was in movie 1 and 2, will be the catalyst for Shadow instead of Amy, because she reminds him of Maria. I mean, that is a safe bet. It's like one of the human characters are probably going to do it. I still feel like.
Okay, so Blinky.
It's a safe bet. It's safe.
No, don't. Do not ever let Paramount think that's an okay idea. All right? Blinky. Can I call you Blink? Thank you for the $5 super chat and your generosity. Really, I just want to ask everyone in the chat right now: would you actually be cool with that? Like, if they actually relegated Amy's role, Amy, the character you've known for since 1993, would you be cool with her big moment being passed off to a human character that has no business even being aboard a space colony arc? If they're gonna do that moment, Would you?
I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna
put a poll out.
say like it would be so weird for them to bring like the Wachowski family and Rachel's daughter and all that stuff on the space colony arc, considering how dangerous it is. That
Yeah,
would
but
make no
also
sense for them to even
we want
be
to
there
talk
in the first
about
place.
how Amy needs some screen time to kind of earn that role, right? What has
Yeah.
what has JoJo done to justify that? She did a nice thing for Sonic one time. She gave him a pair of shoes and was a ring bearer at Rachel's wedding. What business does she have being this active in the story? Can you imagine the movie? The movie's been going on as it has, kind of an SA2 adaptation kind of thing, and then out of nowhere, we're on the arc. Shadow's just by himself on his lonesome, and then JoJo just walks in, just like, "Mr. Shadow, don't do it." It's like, what? Where did you come from? I just remembered you fucking exist. Like, hell,
like
fuck, no.
And someone mentioned like they don't think the arc is going to be in space. I think it is, but regardless, let's say it's not. It's still a government facility that's like heavily armed with like.
If it's not, that's another problem because it's just worse.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, we made this. Oh, does it have the space station? No. Does it have the fun girl hedgehog character? No. It's like, well, that's just worse.
Does it have the eclipse cannon? It's like, why is that there? Yeah, like why is the eclipse cannon there?
If they do this and it doesn't have the arc in it, I'm gonna complain about that just as much. I assure you.
Oh, you wouldn't hear the end of it from me because like that's a big part of Shadow's story is the fact that it was in space and that's where he was able to contact Black Doom. All that stuff was because he was already up there. Regardless, should we move on before we go and go crazy?
Yeah, but fuck no wins with 70% of the vote. I genuinely don't know how any Sonic fan can be okay.
69%. Yeah. I saw 69% on mine, which is nice.
Does that work? That amounts to 99%. But
I don't know.
I guess some of them went for the mystical third option. But yeah, look, this isn't me saying if you're okay with it, you're not a Sonic fan. I just genuinely don't understand how a Sonic fan I don't get it. Like, while we're at it, let's replace, let's make a Sonic 3 adaptation and replace Knuckles with the fucking Chris Thorndyke school bully. You know, like, no. But, okay, maybe we should talk about characters that we actually would be more okay with them giving that role to. And I'm gonna say it, Knuckles. Okay. Knuckles, after everything he's learned from that first movie, and how he's been down a similar path of vengeance and stuff like that, if Knuckles did it, that could actually kind of work.
Honestly, Wade. No, I'm kidding.
Right, you get out. Dude, I had a horrible dream last night, which involved Wade.
Okay.
This is how much... No, this is how much... This is how much this fucking Knuckles TV series has gotten under my skin, alright? So... They made a Knuckles Season 2, and I'm a character in it. Like, I'm living in the world of Knuckles Season 2. I don't meet Knuckles. But, Wade and I both work at a gas station, and this is Wade. And Wade's been talking a lot about how he wants to do a murder-suicide.
Okay.
Because his dad beat him in a bowling tournament. And I'm carpooling with Wade. And Wade's just driving down the motorway at 300 miles per hour and wants to crash and get us killed. I managed to talk him out of it in a brief moment and take kind of safe haven at this place where I call for support. And, yeah, so Wade tried to kill me and himself in his dream.
There you go. I say we.
This is really
that's enough for us to
under
move
my
on.
skin. That's how much this thing lives rent free in my head. Is I'm having fucking dreams about Wade of all fucking people. I'm trying to think if it's Wade or if it's Adam Pally, just as Adam Pally. Like, and I don't even know Adam Pally. He could be a nice dude for all I know, but like, anyway,
he probably is a very sweet man.
We'll get onto the... I mean, actually, he's an actor. He's probably a piece of shit. But, like... Let's get on to the next one.
I don't want to assume that about anybody, especially if I don't know them. But yeah,
Trey,
yes.
every actor is some flavor of garbage. Let's just be real about that. Need I remind you of a certain Eggman voice actor?
Hey, like we didn't get into that today.
They are
because
all
we had
bad.
more other things.
All actors are bad. Okay. Even the ones I've met that were nice to me, all of them are bad people.
Even the ones that did nothing wrong to me.
Even the ones that are just voice acting in my little project. All actors are bad people.
Oh, no. So
Wayne's boss is a bad person. He's voicing Sonic in that. But yes, go on. Sorry.
So Twilord with $5 European redos. Can't wait for the first spin-off movie to be Tom Wachowski. I hear they have big plans for Tom Wachowski 3 after the Sonic license relapse or the Sonic license lapses.
They're talking about how they want to make this a cinematic universe thing with lots of other threads. But who's to say that it's not just going to be fucking Jack Sinclair getting his own movie, or fucking or Pistol Pete getting an origin story? You know, that's probably what's going to happen.
Pete, yeah,
that's probably what's going to happen.
I don't think that's it. No,
but it is.
If...
No, it is. Trust me, Trey. It's already happening because we had Wade got his own spin-off series. They just called it Knuckles. So we'll get a Jack Sinclair spin-off series, but they'll call it Fang the Hunter. We'll get a Tom Wachowski TV series, but they'll call it I don't know, Longclaw. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
They're already doing it. It's already happening. They're just marketing it as Sonic.
I'm like, this is probably a different tangent, but like, is there a reason why they changed Fang the Sniper's name to be Fang the Hunter? I know they kind of said it in passing, but like, was there any?
They just wanted one central name, and he's not really even a sniper, is he? Like, when has he ever sniped anything?
I guess so. For me, I considered that to be like his like a badge of like, you know, he was very accurate with the shots, you know.
It's
like
they just gave him the name that makes the most sense. I always liked Nat
I guess
Weasel,
so,
but like,
yeah.
But
was he a weasel? I don't know. Anyways, I think it's your turn with another Twilord.
Yeah,
exactly.
Another one from Twilord, with €5. Given the current situation, I want the next 5 games to use Black Doom instead of Eggman, and then recast the Doctor. To be honest, I'm just going to say this straight up. There has never been a situation where someone educated themselves and became a better person because the internet en masse called for them to lose their jobs. And genuinely, thank you, Twilord, for the €5. And I know that everyone's heart's in the right place here. But if Mike Pollock is a Zionist, and to be honest, I think he's just fucking not anywhere near as smart as he thinks he is. And he's just incredibly ignorant. But, like, if Mike Pollock is this Zionist character, he's not going to be any less of a Zionist if he loses his job. And, of course, okay, it gives us a new Robotnik voice that you can all feel a little more comfortable listening to. But the problem isn't dealt with. The problem isn't fixed. In fact, sometimes the problem gets worse. When Gina Carano lost her job on The Mandalorian, she then went and worked for the Daily Wire. More ammunition for Ben Shapiro. Maybe the same could happen of the good doctor or the bad doctor. Maybe the same could happen of Mike Pollock. Is like suddenly he becomes a voice of reason for fucking the Daily Wire. You know, all I'm saying is, I think it's healthy to push back against these things, but when we're calling for the loss of their jobs, all that's going to do is embolden those vices and those. Well, because it's
like I think the thing is that like. First time this came around, people were just like, "Oh, he just was ignorant to it." And I'm just sitting here like he's like nearly 60, right? Or he's in his 60s.
Yeah. I don't think there's an excuse for the ignorance.
There really isn't no excuse for the ignorant angle.
The thing he said is he gets his media from. He's basically just said, as a Jewish man, I look at a lot of Jewish media, a lot of Jewish news, and this is the information I've been given. But it's like you've acknowledged there though that you have your own biases and you're not looking at the numbers or the statistics or anything like that. But he's basically like, when I actually did talk to him about this, and he kind of came at me with the whole, it's bubble versus bubble. People are going to believe the propaganda that suits them, and that everyone has their own news resources. Who's to say which one is correct? And it's like, okay, listen, if you genuinely don't know what to believe, then to be silent doesn't make you complicit. It's better than fanning the flames. It's better to just stay quiet on the subject entirely. I just said, if you're not willing to approach this humanitarian crisis with the nuance, the due diligence it deserves, then don't approach it.
Oh, that's the thing that people are like. That's the thing that I've always kind of like thought as well, is that like if you don't have all the pieces to the puzzle, then like why are you like saying things with such like absolute certainty and then backpedal and be like, oh well, I don't really know. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? Like
the thing is, I think it is important for people to keep an ear to the ground and understand what's going on in the world. But at the same time, Mike Pollock is not going to end the Israel versus Palestine conflict. There's no situation where he can do anything about it. He can use his voice to spread awareness, and that's the best he can do. But like at the end of the day, a lot of people are doing that already. And those who want to be aware are aware, basically. That's how it is. The minds that are already made up are not going to be changed. And I think, while I know that a lot of people say silence is to be silent is to be complicit, but there's nothing Mike Pollock can actually do about this situation, which is why I just said, just be quiet about it. Just don't say anything. If you genuinely only believe what you do because you've been led to believe that and acknowledge the existence that that's informing a bias, then there's nothing wrong with just keeping quiet about it.
I mean, and it does kind of suck because like a lot of people go after like celebrities who like either haven't talked about it and are like, oh well, what's your opinion on this? In my opinion, it's perfectly acceptable to be like, I don't have an opinion because I don't know all the nuances to what's going on, or I'm just not as informed enough, but I'll look into it. Like that's fine, in my opinion. That's better than just like, I guess, being ignorant or willfully ignorant and just, you know, spewing out a bunch of like, you know, nonsense practically, right?
And,
like,
yeah, I mean, I also just wanted to note that like Sega haven't removed Karen Strassman from her role as Rouge, and she also has very controversial political beliefs, ones that I definitely don't align with. But I think as far as Sega are concerned, she's doing a job. She's not their best friend. She's doing a job. And
yeah, she's just a freelancer voice actor. She isn't hired at Sega exclusively, right?
Sega,
like, no voice actor is, you know?
Sega will look for whatever reason they can to keep things as they are, because to recast these characters is a long, expensive process. That means they kind of have to shut things down a little for a bit. Like, they can't really make a lot of progress on what they're going to do with Eggman if they don't know who Eggman is. They're going to look for whatever reason they can to keep him around. What I will say is, if it becomes a trend that every time Eggman is front and center in something voiced by Mike Pollock starts beefing with a bunch of teenagers online, then I think Sega will start taking an issue with that. Because it means that every time a new Eggman thing comes out that they would really love to have trending for good reasons, people are just going to be talking about Mike Pollock's political beliefs or whatever. And the thing is, I personally, if you want my own assessment of it, I don't know the guy. I don't, truth be told, think that Mike Pollock is cool with what's going on in Gaza. I don't, truth be told, think that he is happy to just be like, oh, Israel are doing the right thing or whatever. But I think the man is not very bright with how he chooses to communicate things. He feels kind of obligated to respond to fucking everything.
Yeah.
And the reason he said what he fucking said was because someone called him a Zionist. And I was like, brother, you gotta accept that there are gonna be some people where no matter what you say, they're gonna call you a Zionist. You can't go responding to everybody. There's no point. And all you've done is, in this bid to try and control this little narrative, to get the person to stop calling you a Zionist, all you've done is made yourself look like more of a Zionist. I literally said this to him. And he was actually quite respectful in his response. He kind of said, like, okay, I acknowledge that, you know, this is kind of going with backgrounds and stuff like that. I'll stop fanning the flames for now. Thank you for your civility. And it's like, yeah, that's great. He, of course, started up again in, like, 1 hour. But,
and well, like, the thing is
to
that, like,
resist the opportunity to make a snarky joke. Stop it.
he has no self-control, and I think that's the biggest issue with this. Well, not the biggest issue. I feel like his like beliefs in relation to this can be quite damaging, considering like what we know in terms of like the media. But in terms of like I guess like what the Sega lords like care about, like he like just likes to search his own name and respond to everybody, and it's like, dude, like you need a PR team. What are
We
you
need
doing?
a PR manager, like nobody's business. Like, I know that my buddy Ollie, sorry, just dead named him. My buddy Leo. Oh, that sucks. He did an interview with Mike Pollock way back in the day. Way back in the day. Really sorry about that, Leo. He did an interview with him back in the day, where Mike Pollock said he doesn't really view himself as a celebrity. Because no one's gonna see him when he walks down the street and stuff, and I think that might feed into why he doesn't have a PR agent. But it's like, dude, it's time to start
like
covering your ass.
like
You have to acknowledge that you are a celebrity at this point.
he has 80,000 followers on Twitter alone. Like that is like if not celebrity status, at least smaller celebrity status. People know who he is. He voices the antagonist of one of the biggest video game franchises of all time. Like he is a celebrity by all intents and purposes. He's been in countless things. Like he needs a PR team or someone looking after his Twitter. He does not need to respond to everything. And like I don't know if Mike Pollock just gets a kick out of it or if he's genuinely trying to convince people of like his own mindsets, but there's some people who aren't going to be convinced one way or the other,
Also,
like you kind of just what's up.
Full context to that thing, by the way. It's not like a transgender dead name or anything like that. It was more just an identity thing. And Leo is an old college pal that I haven't actually spoken to in person in a while, so I haven't really said his name in a very long time. So
You're fine.
I'm still kind of a little slow on the uptake of that one, but yeah, just so everyone knows. Yeah, just gotta try to be a bit more diligent on that one.
No, you're fine, and like I'm pretty sure like Leo like knows your heart and everything.
Oh,
so,
Leo
like,
will be completely understood. Leo's
for
chill
sure.
as fuck. I don't even know if he even cares about it to that extent, but it's just like if his name is that on Facebook,
just
that's
in case.
Yeah.
Right, just in case. But yeah, back to Mike before we move on. It's just like I feel like the thing, like I know people have given like the Rouge VA like crap for her political beliefs, and like in a good bit of extent, like justifiably so. Like there's a lot of like damaging stuff that she has said as well. But anytime that she's brought up in the conversation, she doesn't just go around like just responding to everybody, like. And I know it's kind of like dismissive for me to say kind of like this because I feel like she should be a little bit more well informed, but like she has her opinions and then just kind of just does her job, and like
There is also...
that's not enough. That's not enough for Sega to be like, or for anyone to really like go after her as much as they go after Mike Pollock, because Mike Pollock is just actively like he lives online, and it's like you need to chill, like
there is also like such a thing as sometimes where people's hearts are in the right place but their brains are not. Like, and this is something that I would apply to like I've got an old uni pal who recently came to me telling me all about this new job he's gotten, and he's a really sweet dude. He's an absolutely lovely guy. He's never said or done anything racist that I've ever seen, or anything transphobic or bigoted or anything like that. But I asked him how he was doing recently, and he tells me, "Oh, I got a job." It's like, "Oh, really? Where are you working now?" He's like, "The Reform Party," and the Reform Party is like the far right fringe group, political party
Lord.
of the UK. And I was just like, I'm happy for you that you got some work and stuff.
It's like, hey, get paid, brother.
Yeah. And the thing that's weird is that like his the Reform Party are all very anti-immigration and stuff. Yet his girlfriend is an Asian immigrant. So I was just like, at the end of the day, his heart must be in the right place here. But I'm just going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt on this. I always knew he was very conservative, and we have kind of sat down together and had a lot of conversations. We had a lot of conversations about ideology, and I know that like he doesn't want people to suffer or anything like that. But it is why I say heart's in the right place. The brain is just in a field in fucking Nevada. Like,
Well, I guess before we keep going like on these tangents, let's go ahead and go through the super chats and
sure,
whatnot,
yeah,
and
yeah, of course.
yeah,
But
just
politics,
move on to the next. Yeah, politics. Yeah, and the Sonic podcast.
So, where are we at here?
I think
Who read the
we're at
last one? Was it you or me?
I think it was you,
me, yeah,
because
so you've got the next one.
Yep. Let's see, with 2 American dollary dues. Thank you again. Let's see. This is the darkest story in all of Sonic history. I would say so. Like, it's either this or '06 that are like the darkest.
Really?
In
You don't
terms of
think
like,
SA2's like darker than '06?
oh, like SA2 had like an entire world be like burned up
Well,
as
there's
well.
that, but there's like a firing squad death. There's Maria Robotnik, terminally ill kid,
Yeah.
gets shot in the face.
That's pretty
man.
dark. Yeah,
I think SA2 is probably the darkest of the bunch.
Oh yeah, I think it's like, I mean, they do call it the Dark Ages.
I mean,
not
Frontiers
just for,
had a
like,
genocide with
That's
kids.
true.
With kids.
Like, was it Water Kids?
Yeah, water kids. It still matters. Hey, don't be fucking racist here.
Hey, hold on. I'm not like, don't even say anything like that. Like,
I still need to see the Metarex saga.
matter.
'Cause I've
Oh
heard that was
really?
pretty
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No. Like, yeah. SA2's like, they're definitely adapting like the darkest story, which is why like them bringing Shadow to the movies was very interesting for me, because it's like
You can't floss your way out of this one, Shadow.
you really, yeah, you can't gritty your way out of this story, like you're gonna have to like you're gonna have to go through this, so yeah, but like, I'm glad that they're giving it the respect that it deserves, and it still doesn't even feel like uncomfortable. I feel like whenever people think about like dark stories, it's like, okay, this is a little bit too much or a little bit too like uncomfortable for me. But no, like, I think this still falls very much in line with the rest of the Sonic series just fine, and how they're executing it with the new Shadow animations, as well as like the Shadow 101 video, I think is top notch. No complaints. I have nothing else to say.
Then we move.
Then we move to the next one. I think it's your turn.
Borger. We've got
Borger.
Katie, who has been greeting the Discord server's general chat, like with good mornings and good evenings and stuff, which I love.
Amazing.
So KB's a character, and I think KB also just recently joined my Patreon, so that's really kind.
Hey, let's go. Nice job.
Okay, our all-round good egg KB has sent $4.99 US. I love that Emil is being acknowledged in this mini-series. I hope that out-of-control artificial chaos will also be addressed in Dark Beginnings. That would be really cool. I think what's going to happen, though, is I think part 1, because we know it's a 3-part series, I think part 1 is probably going to be Emil's assault on the Ark. Part 2 will probably be kind of the Shadow origin story we know, GUN, the siege on the Ark. I mean, we already got a little glimpse of that in that split-second frame where you can see the gun guy, Jim Gun Agent, with his gun out.
Yep.
And then I think part 3 will be kind of about like the legacy of Team Dark, because we've seen that Rouge and Omega are on that poster. So I think, there's a lot to see.
I think if they're already going this far with Emerald and everything, if they're already like bringing him into the fray, which wasn't even expected, honestly. Like, I didn't expect it. I don't think anyone really, no one did until they saw the poster and they're like, really? Like, ooh, that's cool. But they're definitely going to put the artificial chaos in there. It would be very backwards to put Emerald in there and not the artificial chaos. So like, I say look forward to it.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah. So I guess we move again. Borger. Twilord again with €2 dues once again. Appreciate
Those
you
are
again.
just euros. Stop assimilating the Australian culture for
no,
everyone.
If
everyone's Australian,
no
one's Australian.
If everyone's upside down, no one will be. But thank you again, Twilight. We appreciate you so much. Chris's defining moment shouldn't be stolen. Talking about like Chris replacing Amy.
I'll kill you.
The thing is, it worked in Sonic X. I felt like Chris was a great, because not only did we know Chris as a character, bringing up, it made sense for him to be in the arc, and also him being a human.
Amy too.
I
I haven't gotten to that point in Sonic X because I'm watching it all in order. And
Of
I'm
course.
still in the middle of the Adventure 1 arc, but I do know that Chris takes that role. And right now, I'm not cool with it, but I think there's a difference between doing that for the first time, and there's a difference between it happening
doing it again.
fucking twice. Like, you did Amy dirty with that. And to be honest, though, Amy actually has a very big role in Sonic X in general. Like...
That's true. That's true.
And I have said as well, I tell you what, I'll be all right with Amy losing this moment if... I mean, I'll be more all right with Amy losing this moment if the next movie's a Sonic Adventure thing and we see her story with Gamma. Because that's another...
Bring...
That's another
yes.
defining moment. Her story with Gamma is defining for her.
If we get a modernization of Gamma's theme, that makes me... that's going to make me cry.
Happening. That's never going to happen.
I
Junkie
know,
XL
but
do
please...
Junkie
just
XL
hire...
Junkie XL will just recreate the Spider-Man Homecoming theme music.
Hire me, Sega, please. Sega, hire this
Sega,
man.
hire this
man being me. All right.
But it's never Sega hire this woman. You ever notice that?
That's true. Yeah, very misogynistic of Sonic fans, but
not
not too.
misogynistic. It's because there's no such thing as a talented female Sonic fan.
You know what? Very true. very true.
No,
God.
don't say that. No, you're supposed to be the voice of reason. You're supposed to shut me down. This is why we need Dylan. This is why we need Dylan.
And the voice of reason.
He's the only one of this gang
you think Dylan's the voice of reason? You think Dylan's the voice of reason?
Dylan
with
is
that
the
subway
only...
order? What are you talking about?
Dylan's a freak, but he's the only one of this gang that isn't a pup enabler.
I mean, also Frank is too.
Frank is a pup enabler. No, Frank is a pup enabler.
You think so? Okay.
I mean, Frank has a line, though. But Frank generally enables my nonsense more than he doesn't. Like...
But yeah, anyways, your turn now with the next one.
Okay. I didn't mean what I said about women internet, just because I know that some people do need me to clarify that. So, KB returns with $199 US. Who would you rather change Shadow, Jojo or Wade? I would rather just not watch the movie, I'm going to be honest.
I say we kill people. No,
if
I'm kidding.
I find out it's either of those two before the movie comes out, if there's a leak and it says that Jojo or Wade are the ones to change Shadow, I won't see the movie out of protest.
Wade would be such a weird one, because it's just like, I don't know.
No, he sits down with Shadow, like, this is Wade Jammers, these are my mixtapes, this is my bowling ball.
Anyways, yeah, I don't.
And then
think
when he
it
sees
should
the
be
space
either.
colony arc, he's like, "Whoa, it's like a big bowling ball."
Oh, absolutely. Let's say we move on.
You know that if they have the arc, it's going to be, "Whoa, it's like the Death Star."
Oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be like a Star Wars reference.
There so is.
Absolutely.
I'm
even though like
my teeth.
even though like the existence of it is a Star Wars reference, but they have to like double down. Yeah, you have to like make it obvious for everyone. Like, this looks like like, yes, we know that was the whole point of the original Death Egg, is that it was the Death Star.
Just like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, even though like it's more of a Transformer or a Megazord, but go off, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
If he said, "Whoa, Robotnik got a Megazord," I'd actually be more okay with that.
Honestly, that would be kind of sick. Yeah.
Borger.
All right. Borger. All right. Seaman with $2.99 Australian dollars. Thank you.
Are you fucking kidding me?
These are dollary dues, Trey. You disrespectful mate. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It won't happen again.
Oy vey. Twilord back with another €2. Sorry for venting on you. I was overheating a bit. I don't think you were. No venting.
No. Well, like, first of all, it was very.
I didn't detect any venting.
No, you're fine, and like, it was very topical, anyways. And we were debating whether or not we were going to talk about it.
And a lot of people have said that. And at the end of the day, I'm only just saying my perspective. I'm not trying to say anyone's wrong for it or anything like that. And I can also completely understand the perspective as well. Like, I completely get it. I would be generally more comfortable if I knew that my favorite characters are being voiced by really good, wholesome people, But my favorite movie of all time is Toy Story, and Buzz Lightyear is voiced by Tim Allen. So I'm kind of
Right.
I'm kind of used to that, you know?
I mean, same with like. I mean, there's even a lot of bands that I used to listen to where it's like you look at them now and it's like, ooh, like I think the lead singer of oh my gosh, what is that? It's the band that sings the song Rooftops. I forgot the actual band name, but like the lead singer like went to jail for like a bunch of like obscene stuff that he did, and it's like, God, like that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, also, one of my favorite TV shows ever made, Seinfeld, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time.
Oh, yep.
Jerry Seinfeld was in his 30s when he dated a 16-year-old, which isn't even legal. And then there was that whole meltdown with Michael Richardson, who played Kramer.
Well, Kramer,
in the Comedy Store. Like, it happens, you know? Webster says lost profits. Next it also says lost profit. A lot of
lost profit. So that's the band Lost Profits.
Separate a lot of art from an artist there. Like, no, it happens.
But it sucks because
the situation is the majority of the time, the products we consume, the products we love, are not made by people that we love, and that's a big problem with celebrity culture. Is that it does put them on this pedestal. It's like, oh, I'm a huge fan of Tom Holland. It's like, I don't know Tom Holland. Tom Holland could be a dick for all I know, but his acting is excellent. Like, and that's the thing is like, Tobey Maguire. If you heard what he was like during the shooting of like the Spider-Man movies, he's an incredible Spider-Man, but he does not share the same morals as Spider-Man. And I think that's the thing is like, we have to kind of, just view it from that angle. But again, would it make me more comfortable if I knew that the folks playing these characters were good people? Absolutely. But it is something that I've kind of just accepted, that like any kind of celebrity fan culture is always going to be a little unhealthy, you know? For all like,
one of my biggest examples, and it's not as egregious in my opinion, but like Marty O'Donnell, who's the composer for the Halo games.
Yeah.
He holds some very strong right-wing beliefs that I do not uphold by. But I can also recognize that the man has shaped my childhood in terms of musicality, inspiration. Like, it sucks. It really does, because it's just like, man, I really love what you do. Like, same with Mike Pollock. I love his performances. Like, I think he's never really missed with Eggman, you know? Like, he knows how to act his butt off. But, like, it's the same thing with him and Marty O'Donnell, where it's like, man, like, holy crap. And, like, even though, like, we always preach, like, separate the art from the artist, it does get kind of difficult sometimes because there's no separation anymore between, like, these celebrities and the quote-unquote common folk because of, like, social media and stuff like that. Like, there's not really a way that we can just view them as just, like, entertainers, because a lot of times we interact with them directly, especially in the case of Mike Pollock. Like, he's interacting with his fans directly. You know, he's having full-on conversation and Twitter spaces with his fans.
They say like, never meet your heroes, and it's because they're just humans, and humans are often dicks. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, the thing, like, never simp for a celebrity, unless it's Zack Snyder.
Yeah, no,
that's different. But
shut up.
Shut up. But the best thing I can possibly suggest is, if you want to become fan of someone, make it a social media influencer, but not the kind you're thinking of. All right, make it a dog or a cat. You know, you see those things like Knight the Pitbull or whatever. Like I know he's gonna be great. I know he's gonna be fucking great. Like, he's a dog. Of course he is.
Zack Snyder is love. Zack Snyder is life.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, I follow all kinds of like pages of dogs and shit. Like, there's one called like Ratchy D Pit, and it's just like, I'm able to be a fan of this pit bull knowing that he ain't got any skeletons in his closet because he ain't kidding. Like, he knows how it is.
Yeah. Agreed. Don't have anything else. Dogs are great. You are one.
Are you saying my wife is dead?
I'm saying that you're a bitch.
High five! Oh yeah, Butch Hartman, as Katie says. Yeah, no kidding. Butch Hartman. Whew, yeah, the
Yep.
mask slipped on that one. But
Yeah.
that concludes, I think.
This concludes the third part of our one stream
of our
of
3-part Sunset
over
City 147th episode spectacular, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, it's the skeleton, and he's only got a small meal today.
No! Please don't eat us. There's KFC literally right next to us with Nick's face on it. Eat that.
He's not hungry for that shit. That's been there since episode 118. Like, it's not good anymore.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay. So like, despite the lack in numbers, I felt like this was still a good time, and as well as like the stream crashing. But that
the
had
numbers have
nothing to do
actually
with us.
been good. It was just at that third hurdle that things kind of dropped a little. But you know how it is.
Yep. There we go. Are we?
No, we're still live because we haven't done that.
We're still live?
Yet, you idiots.
Oh, I'm so
Also,
sorry.
Webster, yeah, it's OBS getting a strongly worded email. The thing is, I don't actually know whose fault this is. Whether it is OBS,
Restream or
whether it is Restream.io, or whether it could even just be my own internet service provider. I don't think it could be because I've been talking to Trey just fine during all that. But like,
Yeah.
I have no idea. But whoever's behind all this, it's
Right.
You know what? Susan Wojcicki. We're gonna blame Susan Wojcicki.
Yeah, it's Susan.
Even though
course,
she's
the
not
woman.
been the CEO of YouTube for a while. It's
Oh
still
yeah,
her
that's
fault,
true. Yeah.
because
That's still-
she is a woman.
No, that's not it.
That's exactly it.
I guess to bring some context to the internet thing on your end, there were a couple times where, like, we were talking and you would stutter a little bit, but it wasn't enough for like the entire call to drop or anything like that. But I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Are you criticizing my stutter, Trey?
No.
Are you being ableist?
No.
I don't even have a stutter, so I'm just right now appropriating.
No, it's no.
I'm
Yeah, I was gonna
officially-
say.
I am literally Boogie 2988. Like,
Oh my gosh! Like everything I know about Boogie has been against my will.
well, get ready
Like,
for more Boogie news.
I've never once looked his name up. I've never once cared to watch any of his stuff or his content. Everything that I know about
he's
him.
amazing. He's an amazing creature because genuinely, every time you think he cannot sink any lower than this, he always finds a way.
I just don't understand. Like, where did shame? Like the concept of shame. Like, where is that? You know, like if I was in Boogie's shoes, I wouldn't want to like show my face ever
It's
again.
there, but he's wearing it like it's a badge. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
kind of you
no.
own your shame after a while, I guess. But I suppose when you weigh that much, yeah, you can sink that low. So
It kind of sucks. 'Cause I remember him like losing a lot of that weight, and I thought
the
it was
weight
like
is
him
the
just like.
least of anyone's problems with Boogie, though. To be honest.
No, I
Like,
know. Oh yeah, no, I know. But like, I'm talking about like when I first heard of him, people were like, "Oh yeah, he's losing weight, like he's doing great," and I was like, "Oh, that's great." And then he just started going off the deep end, and it's like, what happened with this guy? I thought he was just like
It was once
a
he was
wholesome
losing
guy
the
who
weight, he started just fucking cracking up. Like,
wasn't it based on like. Didn't he lose it based? I don't know. I don't want to like say anything out
we won't
there.
go into it. I think like
Yeah, no, I don't know anything, and I don't know anything about him to really hold like a definitive opinion. But like he's kind of an insane person from what I've seen. So
yeah, he sucks. But okay, Trey, what are you
Yes.
up to? What's new
I'm
with
at-
you?
I've been working on a lot more music behind the scenes, and I'm hoping to actually release my first all original album, hopefully within the next couple months or so. So like I'll start marketing for that pretty soon, actually. And I have like a cool little new like character design idea that I want to introduce to my own YouTube channel, almost like as a soft reboot type deal. And that's the character design that you'll be seeing next on Sunset City within the next like month or so. So
I don't have to change it on Sunset City though. I could forcibly revert
Could-
it back
could
to
you-
the current one.
I mean that's fair, but like,
I mean, that's
If
now
I do-
your jacket as well. Nick's character doesn't wear that anymore.
oh yeah, that's true. What like he has this like Scourge Man like thing now. So like,
Scourge.
isn't it like a
Yeah,
isn't
it's,
it like
it's a Scourge Man kind of deal, and he wears a Wade leather jacket.
okay. Well, anyways, yeah, that's all I've been up to. Just doing that. I've been coming up with some cool like video ideas, and I'm thinking about like taking my own like online presence in a different direction. But like, we'll just see. I think it's gonna be fun either way.
You've got a launch pad for it. You could easily become a Sonic tuber.
Yeah, I could. Honestly, like I might. I've like actually I've been thinking about like going over like some I don't know, some like hidden gem type stuff. There's some games that are inspired by Sonic and Sega on Steam that no one seems to talk about, and I kind of want to talk about them because they're kind of cool.
Yes.
Yes. What about you, Pup? I know you recently released a couple of videos talking about like adventure remakes and stuff like that. But
Tell
what
them
else you
what
got?
I've done. Tell them. You tell them.
I'm not gonna tell them everything.
Tell
Like
them.
that's your
Tell-
job.
te- no, I did
no,
tell
no,
them.
no. That's your job.
Tell them what I've made. What they
No,
can see if they go to
you
my
can-
YouTube. Just tell them.
So if you go to Channel Pup's YouTube channel, you'll see Sonic content.
Yes.
I think your most recent video was like the ideas of like Sonic Adventure remakes, like how they could tackle it between
Yes.
like doing a full modern recreation to kind of doing like what you suggested a couple weeks back, where it's like the low poly aspect of it.
That's just the first half.
That is true.
The
I
second
didn't.
half talks about
I did.
the legacy of the adventure games and how they've influenced the more recent games.
True. That's true. I didn't watch all of it, sadly, so I do
What
apologize.
the fuck?
But, like,
You're so bad for watch time analytics.
no, me. I'm the person that's messing up your analytics. Is
Yeah, if you watch a video without finishing it, it tells YouTube that you didn't finish.
Well, yeah, I'll finish it later. Like,
I'll finish it later. Yeah.
like I watched it this morning, but then I had to like do some like grass cutting and whatnot. So
you're
what?
just edging my videos while you cut grass.
Do I look like salty DK Dan? All right,
You got it. Yeah, you got it under control.
yeah, I got it there. Yeah, yeah.
Salty
Like
cat.
he's been, yeah, salty. Yeah. Do I look like him edging to Norm? I don't think so.
Salty ratioed me on Twitter. I wish Salty was
Salty. The thing is, like, we followed each other for a while, but I don't think we've ever like had a conversation together. He seems like
one
a
of
very.
these days you'll hang out with him on this show. He's game to come back.
That would be great. That'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna make sure you're not in that one. But
Well, what? No.
Yeah,
Why would you do
no.
that to me?
because well, I wish Trey was a good friend. I mean, to be fair, Trey is the best friend I have today.
That is true. I'm like the only one that showed up to be on the podcast.
Yeah. To be fair, a duo episode can actually be good. Sometimes it's more focused. I mean, we stayed on topic. Pretty much.
That's true.
Which makes a streak of 2 episodes where we stayed on topic. And look at the common thread here. Dylan isn't in either of them.
That's true. So it's Dylan that like puts us in different
Dylan's the
talking
fucking
point.
He is the source of the stupid.
He's the source of the stupid is such a wild thing to say.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.